Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland, and tonight we're going to have guest Andi Saucerman on. She is the editor and co-author of the book with Karen Alexander, Remember Who You Are. We're going to talk, it's going to be, Karen Alexander is somebody who channeled an entity named Daniel. And Andi's been with her for most of this journey, I think. From what I've been reading the book, just started to. It's very interesting. A lot of deep thoughts here, spiritual, we'll get into topics about, of course, you know, UFOs, aliens, spirit guides. Are we in a matrix? Deep thoughts by Andi Saucerman and myself, I'm sure, tonight. And hopefully Jamie will be joining us. She's supposed to be here. I don't know what happened. I hope she's all right. And we got a lot of weird to get to, of course, in the World Wide Web of weird. So let's go ahead and get rolling into the show. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup. As I said before, I'm your host, Jason Bland. Tonight's guest, Andi Saucerman, will be joining us after the World Wide Web of Weird, after our first commercial break. Usually I'd say joining me, as always, is my beautiful co-host, Jamie D. And she's supposed to be here, so I hope she's all right. Because I was talking to her in Messenger earlier, so I thought she was. She didn't say anything, so hopefully she's all right. She goes on a walk usually before the show, so I get a little worried if she's not here. I hope she's all right, because, you know, walking out the streets and wherever she's at there in California, I don't know how bad it is, but I hope you're all right, Jamie. Maybe she'll join us here in a little bit. But just so you guys know, next weekend is Father's Day weekend. I won't do a show because I'm going to be off and spend it with my boys that weekend. I'm not sure exactly what our plans are yet, so I'm just not going to plan on doing a show. Maybe last minute I decide because the boys are tired for the night, I'll get on and just maybe have a little bit of a live stream or something. But I'm not going to plan a show. I don't have a guest for next Sunday because it is Father's Day. But we got a lot of weird to get to, so let's go ahead and roll into the World Wide Web of Weird. Tonight on the World Wide Web Weird. Remember last week we were just talking about, you know, what was the last poll taken about how many Americans believe in that extra life exists out there, and then how many of them actually believe it's already here or been here. Well, it just comes out right before I'm working on the World Wide Web Weird. I see this article from CBS. New poll reveals just Americans really think about alien life. It's like CBS watches the show and decided to do a poll. Not really. For those listening on the Paranormal Soup radio channel on Talkstream Live's Paranormal Radio app, we are a webcast streaming out live to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. But I will narrate as best as possible. I'm going to check my messages really quick because I'm worried about Jamie. Nothing. I hope she's all right. Not like her. Because I know she goes on walks before the show, so a little worried. Just check in, Jamie. Let me know you're all right. All right, so let me go ahead and get the first article up. I just thought this was funny. This came across. We were just talking about this last Sunday. Oh, I already have the article on my thing here. Okay, there we go. And then, of course, this is an Unexplained Mysteries, a little more shorter article on it. The idea that aliens might be visiting our planet has been gaining enormous traction in recent years, even more now thanks to the recent release of the Trump's long-awaited UFO files. But exactly what do people actually believe? A recent CBS News poll asked exactly this question with some interesting results. According to the figures, 63% of Americans believe that there is an intelligent life on other planets. I believe that's where we were thinking of, somewhere around there, which is a majority. But it does mean that 37% believe that we are alone in the universe. What's up with 37%? What's up? I mean, really? Okay. According to figures, 63% of Americans believe that there is intelligent life on other planets, which is a majority. 37% believe that we're alone in the universe. I don't get the 37%. I don't get you. But, you know, to each their own. Poll asked when we would likely have contact with intelligent extraterrestrial life. Only 21% believe that it has already happened. I'm one of those 21%. Well, 46% believe it will happen in the future, and a further 33% believe that it will never happen at all. When asked how they would feel about meeting intelligent aliens, most people reported that they would be curious, while others expressed nervousness and excitement. Less than a third claimed that they would be scared, and only 14% said that they would remain calm. On the topic of UFOs, a whopping 83% stated that they had never seen one, while 17% said that they had. As for what UFOs might be, the results were almost split down the middle, with 51% believing that they could be alien spacecraft and 41% favoring conventional human-made objects. So, according to CBS, that's where we're at on, at least in America, what our thoughts are. You know where I believe. I'm sure I know a lot of you what you believe. On to the next. Fresh push for release of files on Brazil's Virahana UFO incident, if I've got that right. Virahana? Is that how you say it? With the U.S. government having already provided 2 significant releases of material related to UFO phenomena, it seems that now, perhaps more than ever, may be a good time to push for the release of answers to questions surrounding some of the world's most prolific UFO cases. One of these particular cases seems to have been recently gaining spotlight, known as the Virahana incident, or Brazil's Roswell. The event itself began in January 1996, when a number of people reported seeing strange lights and objects in the sky above the town of Virahana in southern Brazil. One witness, Carlos de Souza, later claimed to have seen a strange cigar-shaped object struggling to remain airborne. It looked like it was a washing machine fighting to keep its altitude, he said during an interview. The side of it was completely torn, and it had a white smoke coming out. It wasn't black smoke like from a fire. At the time, I thought it was like an aircraft in trouble or an airplane, so I decided to follow it. When he arrived at the crash site, he observed a large amount of debris, and a strong smell of rotten eggs seemed to fill the air. As he explored further, he realized this was no ordinary aircraft. The debris looked like it was aluminum, he recalled. I took a small piece. It was very light, crumbled it, but when I released it, it went right back to its original shape. Yeah, much like Roswell. Before long, several military trucks were reportedly seen arriving in the area. Witnesses later claimed that the parts of the site had been cordoned off. What followed was what many supporters of the case have described as a Roswell-style cover-up, with armed soldiers searching the area, patrolling the streets, and allegedly warning witnesses to remain silent. If that wasn't enough, reports started to emerge of a strange creature that had been sighted in the town, a being around 4 feet in height with only oily skin and a large head and red eyes. I looked in its eyes and saw that it was frightened, one witness recalled. Just as I was frightened, the creature was also frightened. I saw that it was scared of us, so it was an exchange of fears, and its and ours. What we saw wasn't human. The same creature was reportedly seen again around 3 hours later by 2 military police officers, according to later accounts. One of them had actually managed to capture it, and pair took it to a local hospital. I've heard this story for years, by the way. What happens after that remains unclear. Brazilian authorities denied that any unusual creature had been recovered. An official military investigation later concluded that there was no evidence of extraterrestrial involvement. Again, it is very much like Roswell and the cover-up, and if did it happen or not? This was in the 90s, though, so this isn't that far off. So, Roswell is so long ago, everybody's dead. There's still many people alive who are witnesses to this. But, you know how I feel about disclosure happening in this country. I have very little hopes of it happening in Brazil. Moving on. All right, number 3. I don't know if you guys have seen this professor's talks. Chinese Nostradamus, he's not a psychic or anything, chilling warning about Trump's UFO file release. Atrocities are coming. That is the Daily Mail article title. There's this retelling of it with the title, UFOs are a distraction, claims China's answer to Nostradamus. That's the way the Unexplained Mystery explains it. Yang Xin, how you say his name? Jiang? I don't know this. China. I don't know. That Yang Queen? I don't know how you say his name. A Chinese-Canadian science educator runs a YouTube channel in which he predicts future geopolitical events using a combination of analytic techniques. Several of his predictions have come true, including the Iran conflict and re-election of Donald Trump, leading many to regard him as a sort of modern-day Nostradamus. These aren't things that were really hard to predict. When he shares an opinion on something, therefore, people tend to take notice. Speaking recently to YouTuber Nico Ken D. Belizanci, Yang offered his views on recent interest surrounding UFO phenomenon. Everyone knows it's complete nonsense, he said. It's complete BS. There's no aliens. There's no alien technology. Instead, he argues that recent interest in UFOs, as well as more widespread belief in conspiracy theories, is a distraction from critical matters. And people retreat into their own bubbles, he said. Just think about the atrocities that are going to happen in the future. It's going to overwhelm people. The biggest concern, he argues, is widespread societal fear and distrust. They would rather close their eyes and shut off their ears and just live in a normal world, he said. We've seen this happen historically before when empires decline because of civil war, because they get exhausted. I agree with him on some points in the sense of that the disclosure thing is BS. But in his mind, as an analytical person, it means the whole alien thing's a BS. That there are no aliens and there's no alien technology or crash UFOs. It's all BS and a distraction because it is. It is. What is happening, I believe, the disclosure thing is a bunch of crap. I think it's this current administration and people who are generally wanting this information out, thinking that this administration is helping them, are pushing for releases of this stuff. But I think Trump's administration was told a long time ago, you're not getting a disclosure or release. And they're just giving them tidbits. They're just giving you, I mean, I just saw the latest batch of UFO stuff. I'm like, ew, nothing spectacular. Where's the alien bodies? Where's the craft? David Grush, I will give that guy some credit because he's out there, he just finally calling it out that, no, there are definitely alien craft we have recovered and bodies, no joke. You have Tim Pritchett saying, I just want to know what all the money's being spent on. And David Grush gets up there. It's like, yeah, no, there are alien bodies and craft. Okay, I'm done pretending this, they're real. So this is the thing. We keep, this is where the crappy, not really disclosure movement thing that's happening is going to hurt the UFO community in the end because it becomes politically stupid. And people that are analytical, like this guy here, are going to say it's all nonsense because it was just a farce. Well, it isn't. It isn't. It's being used that way, but it isn't. That's how it hurts it, and that's why I really hate it. I really hate it. I hate the whole disclosure because people are, what people are going to think if it. I mean, look, what's in this article picture right here from the Daily Mail? The one thing I gripe about the most, that's the parachute flare. That's a parachute flare you're seeing in that picture next to him. That was given to you knowingly by our Pentagon, who could obviously they have experts that should know that's a parachute flare, but they gave that as part of one of the first batch of UFO files. It's like they're treating us like idiots. So sorry, I agree with them on some points, but except for the point that aliens aren't real and aren't here, and there is no secret program. There is. The Trump admin doesn't have the keys to the secret box, Pandora's box. They're not going to get it. They can keep pretending they are. They can keep trying to say we're going to get disclosure. Congress can keep pushing for it, and they're just going to keep throwing them bones, which are meaningless. All right, moving on. All right. Then you see this. Maybe these are the things they try to distract us from. 2 foreign nationals working in NIH laboratory charged with smuggling Mpox virus into the U.S. I'm not going to read this whole article. You can go look it up. And this is at the same time our soon-to-be leaving Tulsi Gabbard DNI, Director of National Intelligence, confirmed that there were biolabs that were in Ukraine. I read The Stand. I get it. We should not be doing these things. We should not be bringing monkeypox into our country. I mean, at least these guys got arrested, But they work for Anthony Fauci, and he's not. He's got a blanket pardon. And I'm going to call it right here, Do something. Arrest more people. And make sure this never happens again, that this kind of crap does not happen. They've already found secret labs in the United States from other foreign nationals here, with viruses of different kinds. Why? Why is any of this happening? Again, this could be stuff that we are being distracted from with the UFO thing. I do believe it is used as a distraction, the whole UFO disclosure thing right now. Big time, for many different reasons. You could say Epstein files, war in Iran, or the genocide in Palestine. Pick your option. There's a lot of things we need to be distracted from. Get your free Brando at the White House UFC wrestling fight crap going on. It's idiocracy right happening in front of us. So this is why I need Jamie here. She got to rein me in, man, for going. All right. All right. Next up. All right. We'll move on to some other stuff. We're going to get back to the UFO topic. Let's get on to some Sasquatch. This is a story out of Michigan from a Bigfoot Field Research Organization. I got Tim Binnell's article from Coast to Coast. A casual stroll along the beach took an unsettling turn in Michigan when two Michigan sisters spotted a sizable figure that may have been a Sasquatch. The intriguing incident shared with the Bigfoot Field Research Organization occurred on May 19th near Whitefish Point Lighthouse on the shores of Lake Superior. Witnesses Diane Ward and her sister Denise were walking her dog at dusk when they came to a sudden stop as they approached a huge pile of driftwood. The normally fearless Doberman sensed something amiss in the area and refused to move any further. Turning on her flashlight to see what had captured the canine's attention, Diane observed a distinct moving silhouette of what appeared to be a large man bent over behind a pile of driftwood. When she alerted her sister to the mysterious interloper, Denise looked in that direction and also saw the figure. The peculiar stranger appeared to be beginning to climb over the obstacles before ducking back down when she scanned her flashlight toward it. Chillingly, while seemingly hiding from the duo, the unnerving figure popped its head up over a couple of times as to keep an eye on the pair. While the witnesses did not get a particularly clear look at the possible Bigfoot, Diane described it as boasting the build of a very big lumberjack with no neck. Uncertain as to the nature of the strange figure and with her dog clearly cornered by the situation, or concerned about the situation cornered, the sisters smartly ran and got the hell out of there. Although the sisters cannot be certain they saw a Sasquatch, the figure's silence in the moment and its considerable size left them wondering if they could have been the case. They didn't see like the hairy figure; they just saw more of its silhouette and its size and its weirdness of its thing. So it could be a Bigfoot. All right, move on. What do I got next? Is this the right one? Oh, yeah. This is a psychic scheme one. Right. Texas couple indicted in psychic fraud scheme allegedly stealing millions from vulnerable people. I got another Tim Binnell Coast to Coast one for this article. A Texas couple future could unfold behind bars after authorities arrested the pair for allegedly stealing more than $2 million from a desperate people who thought they were paying for psychic services. According to a press release from the U.S. Attorney's Office for Western District of Washington, Bridget Doreen Evans and Vinnie John Unawick were taken into custody earlier this week after federal grand jury issued a staggering 9 indictments related to their sinister scheme. Specifically, the duo had been charged with conspiracy to commit wire and mail fraud for 4 counts of mail fraud, 4 counts of wire fraud. In detailing the case against the couple, authorities contend that Evans portrayed herself as a psychic, Jolene Travis, on social media, where she lured people who were struggling with romantic or personal problems into a proverbial web of deception with promises that she could perform readings and rituals to determine the cause of their misfortune. As one may have surmised, in each instance where she connected with a client, the purported mystic found that their troubles were connected to a hex looming over them. Oh, this is always the same case. After asking for a detailed accounting of the victim's financial holdings, authorities said she would tell the victim the only way to remove the curse was to liquidate the holdings and send the money in gold coins or cash so that she could cleanse the money. You'll get it back, right? Promising to return the funds once the ritual was completed, Evans managed to keep the unwitting individuals under a spell by sending some small amounts to clients to lure them in to further trusting her. 3 people are said to have been ensnared by a pernicious plot, with one handing over $86,000, another who was defrauded for more than $258,000, and a third unfortunate Washington resident who shockingly gave the psychic more than $2 million. Meanwhile, authorities say Unwich assisted in the scheme by allegedly managing bank accounts that received payments from victims, selling gold coins, transferring and spending fraud proceeds, and vouching for Evans with the victims. Incredibly, at one point during the long-running con, the Fox Mystic was actually serving time in Florida prison for similar psychic shenanigans, so Enwich would also assume the online persona to perpetuate the scam. These perpetrators of fortune-telling fraud came into the lives of these victims at that time their judgment was clouded by emotional loss and feelings of hopelessness. Yeah, that's usually how it works. That's usually how they prey on people. And I try not to judge anybody. But I got to say, man, the person, you got $2 million. Like, you got to be smart to get that, a little bit. Unless it was given to you. I don't know. I mean, it takes a lot to make me part with $100. and no psychic fraud crap's going to get me to do it. But, people get desperate, and these people prey on it like frickin' vampires. So good. I hope they go to jail. All right. I think we're on the last one. Yes, we are. And I'm good, because I got a little bit of time for this one. Because I was talking about David Grush. Grush, David Grush, right? And what he said at the Capitol the other day. I saw this article from Daily Mail, and when I keep saying like why I don't believe in disclosure is making scientists disappear, and and threats and things that happen. Well, this article talks about 3 UFO whistleblowers, one currently serving in the U.S. military, who faced horrible consequences, of course, for being whistleblowers. What do you know? What do you know? I don't know if I have time to read this whole article. It's being glitchy on me, but and it's wants me to subscribe. I don't think I can read the article, but I mean, like, they were doing stuff they intimidated their spouses. I mean, one person had somebody break into his home. One of these guys, it won't let me read the articles because it wants me to pay for it, I think. Break in their house and take their father's ashes and sit them outside, just to like mentally mess with them. I mean, if they go to these kind of links to intimidate these guys who officially went out. I mean, all it would take from our current president is to make an executive order nullifying any of these agreements these guys sign, NDAs. It's not even that, though. I mean, I don't think they care about NDAs. He could nullify them, and they still might just go and threaten these people, though. I don't know. But if you read this article, which I would like to read to you, but I forgot this is one of the ones they want you to pay for. I got to read it before the free thing right now. But they're totally intimidating these guys. It's like the Men in Black kind of deal going on. So what hope do we have in any kind of freaking disclosure if they go to these links? And look, we talked about last week them finding the one. She wasn't a scientist. She worked at Los Alamos, but she was an administrative assistant. But they found her body out in the desert. With not even sure how she died out there. Car left there. She was dead. Been missing for a couple of years, and now they find her. Right? People are looking. The internet's searching now for things. And these guys, they can't make them disappear. They went public, right? That's probably the best thing you can do if you're a whistleblower is get as public as possible. I think that's what saved Bob Lazar. First, he tried to be anonymous. They filmed him in the first interview with a shadow thing over him. But when they really got, after that interview, they really were threatening him. That's when he just went public. And that was probably the best thing Bob Lazar could have ever done to save his life. If he hadn't gone public, they would have made him disappear in the desert. Guarantee it. Obviously, the stakes are high with national security on this issue with the people involved. And, what did I see? Oh, yeah, Tim Burchett during this whole thing said, or maybe it was the interview I saw him say this in, says that he went into this SCIF meeting for a lot of this stuff, and the guy in charge is some guy that looks like, like a nerd with a man bun, who's telling him that the president doesn't have clearance to see these things or have them released. That this guy with a man bun is the guy deciding. And we don't know who he is. You know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't give you a name, but it's just like, he's some secret, bureaucrat within our system. And with, I love the man bun, what are thoughts of, sorry to anybody who has a man bun. But, but this thing, picture that, some guy, some bureaucrat has more of clearance to know truth than the president of the United States. Now, it doesn't matter what fan you are, which president, when they're in office, and I think the president does have too much power, but as an executive, I think he should be cleared on it, as much as I think your U.S. senators and congressmen should be, if they're part of the National Intelligence Committees, should be cleared on it, because nothing should be black funded or black budgeted to the point of this where no senator or congressman can get into it, because obviously they're not. They have not released. S4 has not been named and released in this, and the crash retrieval UFOs have not been disclosed. None of that's happened, and I keep saying none of it probably will. They're just giving us little tidbits of videos. They could literally, I mean, how many videos are in each batch? Like, it's been like 20, 30 in a batch. Release the whole damn thing. You don't have to, like, slow roll it. Just release the whole damn thing. Whatever you got, release your junk. Because I say it's junk. A lot of them are junk. Like that stupid UFO that's the parachute flare. It's junk. It's distraction. Like he said, it's all distraction. But the thing is, the phenomenon's real. The history's real. Our government's covered it up. They have the technology. I think they don't know what the hell to do with it half the time. Maybe they've done something. Maybe they back engineered. Maybe we do have a TR3B. I don't know. We don't know because they've lied to us and they're not going to disclose to us. It is a distraction. But that is it for the World Wide Web of Weird. Our guest tonight is going to be Andi Saucerman. We're going to talk about her book. Remember, well, it's co-authored with her Karen Alexander, who wrote it. And we're going to talk about Remember Who You Are, a spiritual adventure. When we come back, we're going to get deep thoughts into the spiritual world here after this short commercial break.
Necromancy. You were brought here for one purpose. Necromancy.
A ceremony dating back to the pre-Christian era. It's the art of reviving the dead. It requires involvement with evil spirits by the person performing the act.
The devil god brings life to the dead.
No, please. No, please.
And death to the living. Necromancy, starring Orson Welles and Pamela Franklin. From Cinerama releasing. In color, rated PG, parental guidance suggested.
If you are interested in discovering the truth about the paranormal and want to hear from leading researchers in the field, join Justin Brown on his 3 weekly shows named My Paranormal Soapbox, Necromancer Live Show, and the Supernatural Symposium, live on Facebook, YouTube, and InterfaceDeath.net.
He is conducting an experiment into the combined effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself, and the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
Hello, I am Fernando Martinez. I think by now you know I am an emotional kind of guy. People stop me in the street and say, Fernando, what the hell is wrong with me? Silk shirt, hairy chest, enough aftershave to drown a household pet, but I still cannot get a woman. I tell them you are an ignorant fool. Without a symbol of power and fertility around your neck, what kind of woman is going to respect you? That is why I have teamed up with Medallion Man, the shop for medallion needs. Medallion Man caters to all levels of masculinity. For the strong, silent type, a medallion the size of a hubcap will say everything that needs to be said. Even singing medallions for the Casanova who knows music is the food of love. Model trains, dollhouses, diapers, whatever your interest, we've got a medallion for you. Don't forget, every woman knows if you can't support a medallion, you can't support a family.
This is the sound of a space clock aboard a U.S. satellite 180 miles above the Earth. No one winds up this timepiece. It's powered by a tiny battery, a battery that delivers power for years without replacement. Now the same type of battery, the Duracell battery, can bring new reliability and long life to your battery-operated equipment. Radios, cameras, toys, all run far longer. Duracell batteries, the long-distance power cells, outlast any ordinary battery. The same type of battery that keeps space clocks running for years can bring long life to anything powered by batteries. Dura, as in durable. Cell, as in power cell. The Duracell battery, made by Mallory.
Switch to DCS ranging.
240, nominal to profile.
We're in the pipe. 5 by 5.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is Andi Saucerman. Andi's journey into the spiritual world began in the early 1990s after a life-changing encounter with the teachings of a teacher known as Daniel, an experience that set her on a lifelong path of soul-led work. She went on to transcribe and preserve Daniel's teachings, publishing Daniel's journal and the award-winning book Losing Your Mind, recognized in 1996 Body, Mind, Spirit Award of Excellence. As a founder of the Universoul Foundation, Andi now guides others through deep personal and spiritual transformation, blending compassion, practical tools, and decades of experience. With a master's in adult learning and 15 years at the Hoffman Institute as a teacher and trainer, her work is devoted to helping people reconnect with their true selves and live with purpose, clarity, and fulfillment. We're going to be talking about the book, Remember Who You Are, by Karen Alexander and Andi Saucerman. And I've been getting into this book. You know, it's from a channel from Karen. We're going to talk about that tonight. And there's a lot of different topics I think we can get into on this. And of course, later in the show, you can join this conversation, call in and join us. But let's go ahead and get to our guest. All right. Make sure. No word on Jamie. I sent a message that said, I hope you're all right, or are you all right? And I have not heard from her. So hopefully she's all right. Like I said, she goes for a walk before the show. So that's why I'm a little nervous. How you doing tonight, Andi? Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Jason. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. Worried about my co-host. She never doesn't not show up.
Uh-oh.
Every Sunday night. Yeah, she's pretty good about it and let me know. So her not messaging makes me a little worried. So hope you're all right out there, Jamie. Hop on if you get in late. I don't care.
Yeah.
But thank you, Andi, for joining us tonight. Like I said, I just started to get into the book. I haven't had a lot of time this week. I'm so sorry. I had my birthday last Wednesday. If that's any excuse, probably not.
Hey, I did Tuesday.
Oh, so we're birthday buddies in June.
We are. Yeah.
June, we're both Geminis. Hey.
Yep.
Welcome to it. Well, you know, I'm trying to like get a picture of this book as I'm reading the beginning, but I feel like I got a long ways to go before I'm gonna get any idea of this book because it's on a plane with a boy named Daniel. I did, you know, of course I have my interview notes from Gavin that gives me, but I'm like, where is this going? Wow. This is pretty interesting stuff here. So I'll let you tell the audience, you know, how did Daniel and all this begin for you?
Well, I'll start first with Karen, actually, since she's the one that wrote the book and channels Daniel. So at one point in Karen's life, she was really struggling, and she's active meditator, and Daniel came to her in her meditations. And she was not at all anybody interested in the New Age movement. She had a very strong academic background, but she was consistently amazed by the compassion, the patience, the loving energy of this being. And his name isn't Daniel. Karen gave him that name because it was one of her favorite names. But the wisdom and the teaching was so important that she and a friend started offering gatherings where people could come and ask questions. And I was invited to one of those gatherings. And I had been on my spiritual path for quite some time, starting as a teenager, just very interested in figuring out who am I, why am I here, what is my purpose. And I was invited to a gathering, and I felt such deep resonance with that teaching. I was getting answers to those questions. But for me, what was really important is that Daniel, he was always encouraging us. It's like, okay, here's the information, but the true work here is about you going within. All the answers are within. And so a lot of what he was teaching, not only just amazing information and really presenting this metaphysical cosmology, like answering the big picture
I don't know what you
questions.
call it, right? The answer's 42. I don't know.
Yeah. So it was just having this resonance. And then the other thing for me too, and I've had this from other people who have read the book, is they say, you know, I'm reading this book, and even though some of the topics are like things I hadn't thought of before, like there was something deep inside of them that knew, that really was like they said there was some part of me that knew the truth.
Resonated. That's what I call it.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
what Daniel's teachings were for me, is this deep resonance. But again, and the sign of a good teacher is he was always encouraging us, go within, like go within. That is where all those answers lie.
How did for Karen? I mean, how did that start for her? I mean, who is Karen, and like, how did that start for her to channel Daniel?
Karen is a licensed therapist. And as I mentioned, really came from this strong academic background. And she was always on her spiritual path as a young child. She had an awareness and a connection to things. Daniel said that one of the reasons that she was chosen to channel for him is because she is a good radio receptor, so to speak, that she's able to access those different realms. And so she didn't like to use the term channeling. What she said she was doing is that she was providing the space for Daniel, because at one point in the meditations, as she's learning from him, he asked, can I use your body to teach through? And she willingly offered that. She used her free will to offer that. But it was, again, through some deep questioning, because she wanted to make sure that what she was providing for people was going to be helpful and, help move people further along on their path.
What proved it for her? I mean, like, just the discernment that, one, this is real. As an academic, she's she was just doing kind of her own, just doing meditation. This kind of started to happen to her, as I'm understanding it.
Yeah.
And I mean, what proved it to her? Like, this is real.
I don't know exactly what it was for her, except the consistency of the love and the compassion and the patience, and then the answers for her in her personal life of things that she was going through. That was like, okay, and again, she is a very discerning person, but there's some truth here, and that's what made her choose to go forward.
Well, I always wonder, like, channelers I've been back and forth with. Like, I believe in the phenomenon. I believe it's real. But as you know, and everybody in this field, there are plenty of channelers. A lot of people who say they're channelers. And
right.
I just talked about two psychic frauds. I'm saying there are people that use it, or some people are just self-deluded, I think, too. They believe it, but I do believe the phenomenon is real. I mean, Edgar Casey, I think, being one of the prime examples of interest in this that I've always had. So for you, what was it for you that started pulling you in? It's just besides the resonance. I mean, I feel like there had to be more than that really pulled you into this too.
Yeah. Well, I just want to add on to something you were just saying earlier, which is, even Ram Dass said just because a spirit doesn't have a body means it's wise. So we really, really have to use our discernment when we're listening to channelers. He said sometimes it's an entity that, Bob, that's all of a sudden getting a lot of attention. So we have
I mean, the Nazis were using channelers and the Thal Society. And look, I mean, they didn't have any qualms with them being Nazis, and they were channeling, giving them technologies, the urban legend.
Yeah, so we have to, again, really be mindful about that. And I think for me, with Daniel, there was so much about learning about who we are as human beings having this, or, spiritual beings having this human experience on Earth. The cosmology of understanding the Earth, Gaia, as a living being, the understanding that we all are an aspect of our soul, understanding more about our purpose, how we were created, all of that. But for me, it truly is. I had been on my own path for so long that the discernment for me was, does this ring true for me? Is this resonant for me? And I feel, and when most people read the book, it's just mind blowing. It's also a book that is entertaining and transformative at the same time. And I think it's because it really rings true for many people.
I find it interesting, that Daniel is a child. Like I said, I'm at the beginning of the book. To take the form of a child, because Karen shows in the book she's not a big fan of children. Not everybody is.
Yeah.
I'm a proud dad. I love my kids. They're my life. Like so
Yeah.
I love kids, and but I was at a point where I didn't want to have kids at all. I want to bring them into this world. But I'll tell you what, if I could go back and tell my former self that felt that way, like, boy, you have no idea what you'd be missing out on.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like living life again. Like getting to watch them and child's innocence to things compared to the toxicity of being an adult. The
Yeah.
things that build up in us, the trauma, or our quirks and all these things. Children are free of that, and they're free of most of the biases and. Mostly, they get imprints from their parents, but mostly, especially, the really, really young kids. I mean, how old is Daniel when he like appears? What's the age we're talking here? Roughly?
Ageless when he appears to Karen, when he's being channeled. But when Karen was looking at writing this book, one of the intentions was for him to come as a child in the book. So, because like you were saying, as children, there is this innocence, this presence to us that we begin to lose as adults. And so it was really important for him to come in as that 7-year-old into the book. And so, hello.
This is Jamie. She's
Hi,
fine.
Jamie.
She's here.
So part of that was intentional because of that reminder of that innocence, that playfulness that we all have. And part of that then is this reminder that as we come into the world as children, with that presence and awareness, we start acquiring what Daniel calls a social mind. And it has to do, we can't blame anyone for it because it's part of what it has been growing up. We get imprinted, like you said, from our parents, from our culture, from others, and we get imprinted.
Interactions.
Exactly.
Social interactions.
Yeah, and it has to do then with these beliefs that get handed down to us about who we are, who others are, what the world is like. And as a child, you live in a very present, I am alive awareness. And then with this acquiring of this social mind, we start then thinking that, this role I've taken on in my family, or these attributes, that's who I am. And what Daniel is really telling us in this book is, part of what we're experiencing is this spiritual amnesia, because we're not stepping back and going, well, who is it that acquired those attributes? Who is it that has that job title or those types of responsibilities? And we start thinking, and again, this is nurtured through society, through schooling, through everything, that's our identity. That is who we are. And Daniel is saying, wait a minute, step back and ask yourself, who has acquired that? That's who you really are. That soul that has actually sent an aspect of itself into the earth time to learn.
So I take it too. This implies reincarnation.
Oh yes,
then, right.
Yes.
I've had we talk about this on the show all the time because I've had with my own personal experiences, with my youngest son Liam's having memories of his past life as well. In my household, we don't belong to any particular religion of any kind, but we're very spiritual in the sense, like in a belief. At least me and my wife are. My kids are going to grow up to believe what they're going to believe. But it's an accepted idea, I could say, in this household that reincarnations exist. That that it's part of it. For me, it was two very vivid dreams I had that made me see I was totally two different people. That were not this person, right? But it was me.
Yeah.
Right? So it really it takes for that moment. It was an awakening. I was in my early 20s when I had these really two different vivid dreams. That I'm something else more than this facade and then this identity, right? Something beyond that. It really opened my eyes to that.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things that you see in the book, Remember Who You Are, is that Daniel takes Karen into where she actually witnesses a soul creating, spinning the threads that create a human being. So she's seeing that. And in our second book, in Ancient Whisper, she addresses reincarnation. You learn more about the different lifetimes and what happens between lifetimes. But it is so beautiful in when a lifetime is created. And so it's really important for people to know that you were created on purpose, with a purpose. And before you actually have a lifetime, you, the venturing aspect of your soul, and the soul make decisions about what do we need to learn in this lifetime, what's going to be the best culture for you to grow in, what's the best body, are there going to be illnesses, what are the best attributes, and then also what's woven into your being that he'll talk about, you'll read about in the book, are what are called soul communities, which have to do about purpose. And these are not communities of a certain place, these are have to do with our purpose and why we come into the lifetime. So all of that is decided upon in between the lifetimes, because really the purpose of the lifetime is for us to be in service to the soul, so that the soul can continue its own evolution and its own growth. And that again is that's a big part of that spiritual amnesia, is that we don't realize that there is intention behind this lifetime. And one of the ways Daniel talks about it in one of the other books, that where we focus on life and death and the in-between, is it's like a sketch that is made. And then when you come into the earth time, then you start filling it out even more. And what comes with you as well are soul contracts that are made with other people, because there are agreements in the in-between about, okay, I'll help you with this, you help me with that, and so on. So but it's so beautiful the way she describes it in the book. It really takes your breath away, because her writing is so beautiful when she's describing what she's witnessing in that realm.
Now, I think what we always talk about when we get in the reincarnation, I call it the hard pill to swallow for people, is this one. Because, for example, with my 10-year-old, Liam, when he was younger, he told my wife, I chose you. And I saw him probably 7 years before he was born, as a translucent boy in my living room.
Yeah.
That's the hard pill for people to swallow that don't have great parents, or are born into a really crappy life.
Yeah.
Or anything else. In the fact, if you look at the bigger pictures, I planned out this life. So maybe you had great parents, but then you married a jerk, and they treated you horribly, or you treated yourself horribly, got drug addiction and all this. Like, I chose this. Really? I would never choose this. That I think is the hard pill for sometimes for people on reincarnation as well. One of my best friends was very Christian, and that he also pointed at, we would talk about this stuff. He would say, well, what's the point if I don't remember anything? Then it's not me. It's not me. And I said, well, if I hit you over, and I thought about this because you talk about amnesia. And I always use this example. It's like, well, if I hit you over the head and you got the classic, Flintstones amnesia, you get a bump on your head growing out. And you didn't remember who you are you not you anymore? And that kind of threw him, like I said, because people do get amnesia, but yet they're still the same person. They just don't know who that person is. I said, I think that is pretty much what reincarnation is. It's the Flintstone knocked over the head and you got the big bump coming out of your head spiritually. You're for some reason, but it also seems like a bit of a flaw. It does seem like there's a flaw in the system because of it.
I can see how people would see that. But one of the things we need to remember is that when we're deciding on who our parents are, then I'm trying to figure out, Daniel said there's a certain percentage where people are just like, oh, okay, there's a family and it looks like it's a fit. And other times, like I know my son travels with my husband in different lifetimes. And so we knew that about him before he took the body that he has for this lifetime. But what we have to remember is that when these decisions are made, they're made on the soul realm, they're made on the spiritual realm. And anything that has to do, again, we can take a body, we end up in a family that ends up being violent. that violence, it depends on the quality of heart that that person has. They may have a lot of density in their heart. It also, anything that has to do with violence or abuse is not of spirit. So it's not like, oh, I'm choosing a family that's going to be abusive. It's not that at all. It's because in the spiritual realms, there were decisions about, okay, you can help me learn this, and I will in turn help you learn that. So I think if we look at it just from a social mind or a personality perspective, we lose that big picture. But ultimately, it is a choice that is made again by that venturing aspect of the soul of, again, what culture, what environment, what potential location do I need in order to get that growth. And again, when we are on the planet, then when we are in our physical bodies, there's free will. And so much of it's like we live in different realities, because Daniel talks immediately in the book about density, which is a heaviness in our heart. And if we have a lot of density in our heart, we look at the world from this place of survival. What can I get from others? And there's really no concept of spirit in somebody who has a lot of density in their heart. But as we continue to do our work and our own evolution, our own transformation through many lifetimes, and we lessen the density in our hearts, then at some point we start waking up to spirit. We start waking up to different possibilities, and seeing that there is more than just my physical senses, what I can see, smell, touch, taste, all of that, that there is so much more to us. But it has again to do with social mind that keeps us blocked from the energies of spirit and our soul, and the density that we have in our heart that keeps us closed off from any of that love. So our part of our intention or our purpose in each lifetime is, how can I lessen the density in my heart? How can I dismantle social mind so that I can once again be in service to my soul? And in doing that, I'm in service to other people and to the planet.
When you talk about free will and that, so I mean, we free as spirits or our higher self or souls, we choose to come here to learn. Is this a system that's, I guess, like, you have like kind of the Gnostic belief that we're in like kind of like a matrix. That we're trapped here by the Demerge, whatever you want to call it, that the fake God in a sense, and we're trapped here like it's an illusion, right? That reality was created. I'm trying to think of the best philosophical way to put this. Like reality, almost is a mistake. Like this existence here on Earth is. That's what I'm wondering. Like, in a sense, is like not that we did forget our past lives. But the fact that we're here or learning that there's a density here, that this exists, the negativity, all this stuff, is that, was that created as a purposeful way for us to learn, or is it like something went wrong and we're kind of like, I said they call it a soul trap. We're trapped here in a sense until we can ascend higher.
So the way that Daniel's explained it in the book and in other teachings is that one time there was a unity, and part of that unity then was pulled away or chose to spin away from that initial unity. And in that spinning away, these particles, thousands of particles of life, because we are all an aspect of God, so we're spinning away from that, and in spinning into that darkness, I guess we could say, that's where we acquired the density. So our remaining sisters and brothers in what Daniel has called upper heaven saw how lost we were and made a decision, like, how can we get them to return back home, back to upper heaven? And so Daniel says that, and you'll see this or read this in the book, is that Gaia, one of our sisters from upper heaven, came with her lover to create the earth. And in doing so, this planet is a place for us to, again, remember who we are, a place for us to take a body and for us to learn and lessen the density so that we can then eventually return home to upper heaven. So that's kind of the big picture. So it's not a soul trap. It's actually a place for us to do the work of lessening density, dismantling social mind. I know I'm starting to sound like a broken record,
No, I
but
get what.
it's so important for us. We don't even and this is what blows my mind is we don't even realize that this is why we're here. So many people think being on the planet has to do with an acquisition of goods and products, and
That you
instead,
can't take with you.
exactly. And so, like even Daniel said, think about the last 5 minutes before you die. What is going to be most important? It's not about the car in your garage or the fancy clothes. It has to do with the quality of your relationship with your own self, the quality of the relationship you have with your family, your friends, those in your life. And so we don't even realize that that's the purpose for being here because of so Daniel in the book has even called social mind the antichrist because it's basically keeps us in the dark. It wants to just continue its own life. It's not a creation of spirit. Again, this is something that's handed to us from our families and our schools and the culture, but we don't even realize that that's not who I am, and my job is to dismantle that so that I can continue to bring those energies of spirit into the earth time.
It's interesting he calls it the Antichrist, because if you look at all that stuff you say that's social or whatever, we have social media, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the internet, and now we have AI that's literally built off of that.
Yeah.
In a sense, it draws from all of that.
Yeah.
And I've always said AI might be the Antichrist.
Well, one of the things that happens with social mind and anything where we're just too much in our mind, a lot of times for people, it leads to frustration. It leads to a lot of anxiety. We're comparing ourselves, the judgment. I mean, you think about it, that's the cause of wars, our internal wars with ourselves because our social mind. You'll get a really good glimpse of Karen's social mind in the book, which is a great example. All those judgments that we have about ourselves. So we're violent with ourselves. And then a lot of times we're violent with other people. And then you think on the grander scale, all the wars, all of that is all coming from the social mind.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of topics we get into there. I mean, I'm a very anti-war person, as everybody knows on this show. I don't think that we've had justification for any of the wars in my lifetime or even way before that.
Yeah.
And that wars are manipulated and manufactured by very rich, powerful people that obviously have not realized you can't take it with you when you die.
Mm-hmm.
And don't give a crap of what they're leaving for the future generations at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have no they just have a greed and want for self-power, And to me, that's one of the true evils of the world. Is just the total like me mentality. And that's the danger. I mean, that these people obviously don't care, that they're willing to take a bunch of money from the lobbyists and vote for a war, and here we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are. That seems to be power, greed, money, the worst of us, But it almost seems like that's how the game's set up. Like we're set up for those temptations. I don't mean to say it's a game, but I think those guys are losing. The big billionaires with their penis rockets. I think they are really losing at the game. And when they get to the end of the road, end of the game for them, they're going to get a big you failed.
To me, they are a prime example of density because, again, when we have so much density in our heart, as I mentioned earlier, and Daniel, he talks about, like in the book, he talks about the heart. It moves slow. It's like it's this dark sludge in the heart because we're moving through life. And when we're really dense, again, we're only concerned about surviving and the greed that you're talking about.
Right.
And we don't care about other people. We don't care about their free will. And again, but the beauty, because I mean, I do believe love wins, the good wins, so to speak. And more and more people are actually waking up. And again, the more that we lessen that density, the more the energies of the soul and spirit can work through us. And we can have an impact without even saying a word because of that energy that is working through us of our own soul. So that is just an example of the density going on in the world. And it's very sad because you think about all the people whose lives have been destroyed and ruined, and also what we've done to the planet as well, when there is no regard for anything other than what they want to acquire.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you're watching it right now with the data centers going in. I mean,
Oh,
global
yeah.
warming's out the door. Or I never, like,
Yeah.
the environmental thing. Yeah, that's out the door. I mean, for other, for people that were even preaching about the environment are now silent about data centers, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like that's just we're just not even caring anymore. Like, it's just, we're gonna be wearing breathing masks and stuff, and it's going to look like something out of Blade Runner in the future if we don't blow ourselves up. I know you're trying to be all positive and not be tensed in fear, but I'm a father, and I see where the future is trying to head, and I think the future is always in motion. Nothing's set.
Correct.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
But I do have to say I'm very concerned. I'm very concerned with the things I'm seeing happening. I try not to let it suck me in or black pill me, as I say it, that I do have hope. I see it, with definitely, I see people awakening to it. I definitely see that. I definitely see more people awakening to it. But it's very powerful forces that we're up against, sadly. Now, when you talk about Earth and Gaia, I was talking to Worldwide Web of Weird. I'm a believer that aliens have been here in our ancient past, and they're currently here. And there's also possible future human timelines coming here. I'm a believer in the possibilities of all of it. I've seen a UFO myself and all that. So, I mean, on the act of, that we're here, this planet that's really dense, are we the only one? Or are there other planets that are going through kind of the same thing? Or it's just, this is it here?
No, this isn't just it here. Daniel talked about, it's not in the book necessarily. This will be in other books that I'm publishing. But he talked about that there are malevolent beings. He would say they are not here to assist humanity.
Right.
That they completely disregard free will. And so there are other universes out there. And there also are benevolent beings who have been here to help humanity. And so, yeah, and even beyond us, we need to think in terms of the animals are their own separate tribe of beings. There are also, again, other Gaia's children that are on this planet too. And so he's always said Gaia is a very important being, and we want to make sure that we don't destroy her because it would have a tremendous impact. But yeah, I mean, personally, when I was growing up, I was lucky enough to grow up in the country, and I could see the Milky Way at night.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, I couldn't imagine we were alone because
Right.
there's so much. But yeah, so we, in fact, Daniel's talked about a big part of malevolent beings is that they are here to take Gaia's resources. They have done brain tampering. They've done sexual experimentation. And so it is a reality. And then at the same time, there are benevolent beings who walk amongst us, who have helped us in the past to support our evolution as a species. But a lot of them are not going to announce it. You may not know that the person sitting next to you on the subway, or that you're having a conversation, is a benevolent being. But they're here to do whatever they can to support, again, not against free will, but to do what they can to support our evolution. And this is an important time for us. Daniel talked about it. Again, he did talk about it in the book. He calls it the second chance. And he said it's a collision of dimensions that we're experiencing right now.
Really?
Yeah. And so it's just this awareness that that's what's happening. And so if I look at, because I have to be careful too, if I start doing a doom scrolling, it's like I feel
Doom
this
scrolling.
yeah, it's this
Yeah,
downward pull of energy.
it is. It
And
is.
I've like, I gotta get myself like, this is not supporting me. So
Yeah.
I will then look at, okay, what's upward pulling energy? Whether it's going outside in nature, spending time with my cat, or watching someone talk about, because I do believe that that's what we're experiencing, is this shift, this collision of dimensions. And what Daniel said, at the core of that is the most important thing you can do during this time is stay connected to your highest self, stay connected to your heart, spend time in nature. And so I like anybody, I can get lost in that too, but at the same time, good love is the strongest force anywhere. Love.
That's kind of what my grounding is, or my center. I
Mm-hmm.
had what I call a shadow person experience when I was a teenager. This thing attacked me for months. I'm not going to get into it. Everybody's heard the story and all that. But when I was saved is when I called out to God. This thing
Mm-hmm.
was levitating me up off my bed at that moment.
Wow.
And I was paralyzed, but I could just croak out, "God help me!" And this overwhelming feeling of just warmth
Mm.
filled me, and I just could feel the love, and all the fear and anxiety I had at that moment was completely wiped away. There was a
Wow.
bright white light and everything, but that moment it was like slowed down. I just knew this. I had this knowing that this is, yeah. I don't want to say I did this is God, but it took me years to kind of like understand this event.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe this was God, or the force, as I like to call it, whatever. It was completely knowing that there's no judgment, not for me, not for this demon-like entity that had just kicked out of my room,
Mm-hmm.
not for anyone. That it's there for everyone.
Yes.
It's there for every evil bastard that ever existed, even. And I
Mm-hmm.
say that as a human being, that I have judgments. This thing had none.
Yeah.
I got a Festivus bull. I can sit it down and make a lot of judgments about people. I'm human. It's hard not to. I try to remind myself of that presence, how it
Yeah.
had no judgments, and it was like the warmest hug from your grandmother you could get. You know what I'm saying? It's just that feeling
Mm-hmm.
of security, and I was just let go of all my fear, and it was just during that very few seconds.
Yeah.
But at times slowed, and I felt this. And the only other time I felt anything like that, I felt it briefly when I saw my translucent little boy in my living room that turned out later to be my youngest son, Liam.
Yeah.
There's 2 times in my life I felt this presence. I call it God or the Force or whatever. And to me, that's my standard to anything spiritual awakening. Anybody talks about God or what God thinks or wants or whatever. I know what I experienced, and it had no judgments.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because one of the things, I don't know if you've read that part of the book yet, where Karen's like, "Oh, are we going to go see God?" And he's like, "Well, why would anybody
Yeah,
have to go anywhere to see God?"
right.
Because we are all, I mean, we are all an aspect of God, and right now, surrounding you is your own soul. Your own soul is, Daniel would always say, your own soul is basically the only angel you ever need. And your own soul is singing to you and caressing to you and loving you and speaking to you. And it's because of the social mind and density that we can't hear it, but we can call on it. And again, recognizing that our souls are all an aspect of God. And God is love. There is no judgment, no comparison, no checklist, nothing. So again, anything that is of harm or abuse or any of that is nothing related to God. And that is one of the messages that Daniel was so adamant about, is people need to realize that God is love and God is present to everyone and everyone has access to this love. It's just, are you making the space in your life to go to that doorway, so to speak, where you can tune into that? So but speaking to your experience, which sounds really scary for someone, Daniel does talk about this in our other book, An Ancient Whisper, about entities. And
Yeah.
he said that is something that we need as a society to be aware of. Like in other cultures, ancient cultures, there was an awareness that there were entities, and so it's just something that needs to be brought into the conversation for people, especially around health and so on. So because it can impact you, so it's really important.
Well, it made me a believer in the idea of like Malachi Martin was an exorcist that talked on our bell a lot about demon possession. You know, he's and all that. I'm not a Catholic and I'm not a Christian. I believe in Jesus Christ, but I don't believe in the Old Testament in the sense that I don't believe Yahweh is God. Not to get all into that. That's a whole other rabbit hole. But I do believe in that you know, besides Christianity and Judeo-Christianity, all that. I mean, you can go back to the Mayans, and you can go back to other religions, even, you know, that have this idea of these beings that are evil, right? And I know you want to go down the dark path, but I had this experience, right? I believe there are these, after my experience, that these things can also possess people. That, as Malachi Martin put it, people that are walking around that are fully possessed by one of these entities.
Yeah, we just need to be. Daniel would talk about different levels of entities. Some entities are just lost souls that died and they didn't realize that they were to return back home to their soul. But there are some entities that have very evil, dark intent. And again, it is something we need to be aware of. So it just needs to be a part of the conversation.
Well, why I say that is, you know, I think some of these people, like, you know, Malachi Martin pointed out, this guy was like, you know, a successful businessman, right? How many of these people are in positions of power, you know, that can explain some of the crazy evil chaos we have in our world.
Yeah.
You know, I always say, why is it that, you know, all the, you know, you find out all these people that have become idols, you know, in politics or entertainment, you seem to always find out these dirty, you know, some of these people are really nasty, dirty people, you know what I'm saying? Like, really, like, why are the people that are most out there, put themselves the most out there, a lot of times some of the most narcissistic, the worst people, but they can put on a presence like, you know, like a wolf in sheep's clothing and make you think they're the greatest thing ever. I just think there's a lot of cult of personality out there. And people need to stop falling for it.
Yeah. Again, we're taught so much growing up to give our own sovereignty away, to always look outside for the answers. And that is something that, I mean, that's one of the things I love about Daniel's teachings. It was always about, go back within, because we need to reclaim that for ourselves, not give it away to actors and, you know, or people that are popular, so to speak. It's like, what can I do to take my sovereignty back and do my work? It doesn't mean I can't appreciate music or whatever, but I'm not going to I'm just amazed sometimes at the amount of time people spend on other people.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's
what I'm
like,
saying.
Your life is precious. Like your time, your here is so important and precious. Don't give it away. But again, it's something that we're taught to always look outside of ourselves for the answers, or to let other people make decisions. And it's like, no, what can I reclaim?
Or I also see a lot of people going for, like, you know, I call it victim mentality.
Yeah.
You know, like they just take on, well, I do this because this happened to me. But they give a, this is the part I think is the greatest part of people that if they realize the truth of like reincarnation and this whole thing we're talking about.
Yeah.
Is if you accept that I've made all these choices. I made every choice to be here, and everything that's happening right now is all part of my spiritual journey I chose. No one else. Should be freeing to you. If you really think about it, that should be freeing. Nobody else is in charge. It's all your journey.
Yeah.
And all you got to ask is, what do I have to learn from this experience? Because each one is something you're supposed to be learning. I can't tell you what that is. I don't know. I'm always asking the question. But that's it. It should be a bit freeing, I would think, to people. But it can also be scary.
Yeah. No, I agree. And if we can then not only realize that I have my own journey, like all these choices, and also not to get in the social mind game of blaming ourselves or judging ourselves for what we've done. It's like I did what I did with what I had at the time, to have compassion and loving kindness toward ourselves. But when I can start realizing that this is the dance of life, so to speak, is that I'm here to have these experiences, to learn, to take this learning back to my soul, then I can start having compassion for other people. I don't know what your agreements are with your soul. I want to, it's like, so I can't judge you. So
Right. Well,
it's,
it's something I try to teach my boys, and I have to teach myself, right? As a
yeah,
human being, I think we are built into judge, in a sense, in a survival mechanic, right? That's that
yeah.
biological density here. We have to judge things for survival, in a sense, but we make judgments because we feel good about it.
Yeah,
Right?
it's
Makes you
about
feel better.
discernment. I
Right.
look at it's about what choice am I going to make here, and discernment. But where am I if I'm placing judgments on myself or other people or other things, I'm in social mind. That's an instant
Right.
indicator. But if I can actually look at a situation and have some discernment, and a lot of times, and this is what I love about the book is when you are accessing spirit, it's or when you're tuning in to those subtle energies, because spirit is subtle, social mind is loud. There's so much noise in the world.
It's just
But
getting louder.
when I can start tapping into that, then I've got more of a direction of where I can go and what I can do. And so that's becomes my biggest practice is how can I tune into that is available to me to use my discernment so that I go in a room and I can go, nope, this isn't for me. Or I open a book, or I talking to myself here. I'm doom scrolling. It's like, nope, I've got to be really use
I
my
love the doom
discernment
scrolling.
and
Doom
protect
scrolling.
my
That's all the
energy.
social
Yeah,
media. That's all
it
the
is.
social media or your news networks. If you turn on TV, you can't. It's all
Oh,
doom scrolling.
it is. Yeah, it's one of my biggest things with my coaching clients. It's like turn off the news. So many people are getting depressed and anxious and
Yeah.
frustrated and angry.
It's hard
Yeah,
not. You can't blame anybody. It's all
right.
around him. Like you said, it's a noise. I had to say it to my dad. At one
Hmm.
point. He was getting so upset about the stuff in the world. I'm like, can you change a single thing of it? No.
Right.
No. You,
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh
Oh,
and the
yeah.
little book he wrote called Peace is Every Step. And
Yep.
like I said, I try to teach my kids these things. Like that you can only control what you choose to do.
Hmm.
And so if you want peace, you want things to be better, you have to make the steps towards it. You can't
Yes.
wait for other people to do it.
Yeah.
No, nobody's going to do it for you. Nobody's going to choose peace on their own
Hmm.
unless they decide to, and you can't make them do that. You
Yeah.
can only do that.
Hmm.
You can only choose everything around you and every little piece and step you make. If you're in the intent of love and compassion and peace, if that's the intent
Yeah.
of each of your actions, then you're doing your part.
Well, right there, you described what it means to lessen density in your heart. you know, it
Well, that's
is.
Thich Nhat Hanh, not me.
Yeah. Well, we're learning from him.
Yeah.
So many beautiful teachers that are here to remind us of those things. And that's a big part of what this book is about. What can I do to lessen that density in my heart? Because as you said, anything that I do that I make a conscious choice about, if I'm choosing more of the upward pulling energy, I'm choosing love, I'm choosing peace, I'm choosing kindness, not only impacts me, but it also, and again, I don't have to say a word. I don't have to preach to anybody about anything. The people you feel good around, it's like, because they're just emanating that energy. And so we do, and that, true healing work or the things that we're talking about are also planetary stewardship. Like this is how we care for Gaia, how we care for the earth as well. The more we lessen our density, the more we impact her.
Yeah, well, I mean, do your recycling, do your things for the earth.
Yeah.
But we also got to speak up, though. That's the thing. We do have to speak up. We do have to have a
Mm-hmm.
voice. We can't be quiet. We have to, fight back on, like I said, the data centers. I mean, they're using diesel fuel, like we're off the electric grid, and they're using these big diesel fuel like generators, right? They're
Yeah.
putting out immense amounts of pollutants into the air that everybody around them these neighborhoods are breathing.
Yeah.
I mean, besides that's just one. The data centers is the newest thing. I mean, there's all these other ways they've been still polluting for all these years. Besides polluting our food,
Right.
you know, I mean, in America we have the worst. I swear, the worst food. I mean, we got to speak up. We got to in a sense, you know, keep fighting the fight. And you know, like there's a part of peace is every step and be peaceful, but you also got to be brave and loud. You know what I'm saying?
We do. Daniel called it being a warrior mystic. You know, like I can use my energy for good. Like I can channel that to take a stand. And that a lot of times that's an example of divine masculine energy in action is protection. Is like, what can I do to protect this beautiful planet? I don't care about being on another planet like Mars. This planet we need to steward and
But
take
you want to get
care
on a
of.
penis rocket and go to Mars?
I do not have any desire. No. I mean, we live on such a beautiful planet that everything here is provided for us from Gaia as a teacher to learn more
I
who we
say
are.
that all the time. We were given life on Earth. People talk about life on Earth and achieving it, but we were given it from the beginning. You look at these incredible animals in the ocean, these plants, these animals. You look up at what's space, you look at the jewels that the Earth makes. You know, man can recreate it. It's not the same as what nature does.
No.
We were given food and medicine that they even made it look like the parts of our body to help us out to know to do. We were given it all.
Yeah,
I agree with everything you ladies just said, but I am also a sci-fi geek, and I want spaceships, and I want to go to space. Like I do want us to go to Mars. I do want us to explore, but we need to get our crap together first.
Go explore, but also, you know, it's like we can take care of our home. You know?
Right. That's what I mean. We need to get our crap together first.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we do.
This is our home base that we need to take care of because we are, with the bees going away and everything else, and blocking the sun. We are so close to just killing all life force off.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a lot of ways, you know, like you said, doom scrolling, you can find all the different ways to die on Earth.
That's like what's happening right now.
I would destroy Earth. Right. I'm just saying, like, you know, I was talking about them bringing, you two guys getting arrested for bringing monkeypox into this country. Pick your poison.
We've got what's it called? Screw worms here in California now.
Yeah, right. I mean, there's like, we're faced with constant, like I said,
we're quarantining the animals, but still not the people.
Well, I grew up, like I said, I swear the doomsday generation. You know the boomers did in the sense they had the crawl under the desk and kiss their ass goodbye if a nuke happened. Duck and cover. But as a kid, I grew up in the '80s when we had like all these Nostradamus specials about the end of the third Antichrist, like, and all these other doomsday movies and stuff that like Night of the Comet and all this stuff, like. So I grew up like I feel like we grew up in like Gen X. We just expect doomsday. We're just waiting for which way is it going to happen. Just waiting. That's how I feel. We grew up. We got to go to commercial break here in a minute, but when we get back, we will open up the phone lines if you're cool with that and see if anybody wants to join this conversation. But before we do, because some people don't hang around line, this book is on Amazon, right? But do you have a website link too? I want to make sure we get out to people.
I do.
We'll get it out again.
Yep. Yeah, it's Universoul. It's SOUL. So universoulfoundations.com. But the book is available wherever books are sold.
Yeah. Like I said, you can find it on Amazon. Remember who you are. I love the title. I know you guys retitled it after rewriting it.
The other link.
Yeah. I love that because I do feel like the biggest part of this is remembering who we are, like who we really are. Like, not like I said, my past life dreams woke me up to that reality that I'm much more than this persona, this, this likes. And you find out too, if you start really going down this rabbit hole, you find out how much your persona is not even your own choice.
Yeah.
But what you let other people put you in a box to.
Yep.
And when you start realizing these things, it really will free you. It will free you from a lot, what I call bondage to things and choices you think you have to make, you don't have to.
Exactly.
So I got it. Guys, check out this book. We're going to go to commercial break. When we come back with our guest, Andi Saucerman, to talk more about Remember Who You Are by Karen Alexander, who was the channeler in this. And we'll talk more about this, who Daniel was, and maybe we'll get into, too, maybe if Daniel's giving you insight anymore, too, like we talk about entities and aliens and stuff like that, but who is here right now? Like, who are the aliens here? I don't know if he's giving you the information on that. I'd like to know, get the inside source from Daniel. But we're going to go to commercial break, take the phone calls from you. You guys will have your questions when we come back.
Conducting an experiment into the combined effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself, and the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
Do you wish for more paranormal and spiritual content? The Paranormal Chronicles magazine is a free digital magazine crammed with the very best in paranormal and spiritual articles and features. No sign-up, no subscription, just free reading and knowledge for you. Read today at www.paranormalchronicles.com/magazine.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Paranation Magazine is a new paranormal magazine based out of Denver, Colorado. Our goal isn't just to give you the best paranormal content out there, but to promote paranormal unity. We're doing this by giving everyone an opportunity to tell their stories and to share their experiences. For more information, follow us on Facebook at Paranation Magazine and soon, paranationmag.com.
I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is the extraordinary travels of a young, alone, and broke psychic in the highly anticipated new book from internationally renowned psychic, medium, medical intuitive, and best-selling author Sherry Dillard. Critics have described I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like as an engrossing memoir, an empowering story of how a broken girl came to accept her psychic gift, a refreshing and fun read. I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is available through Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Noble, and wherever books are sold.
Wrote Spirits of the Dead with a pen dipped in warm blood. You will see the ultimate in terror with this important all-star cast. Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda in Edgar Allan Poe's Spirits of the Dead. Only Poe's demented genius could bring to the screen such horror and evil. Spirits of the Dead stars Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda. Directed by three masters of the cinema, Federico Fellini, Louis Malle, and Roger Vadim. Spirits of the Dead is an adventure in terror beyond your wildest nightmares. Spirits of the Dead in color is rated R.
The answer to the ultimate question of life, the universe, and everything is 42.
42?
Yes, I thought it over quite thoroughly. It is. It's 42. It would have been simpler, of course, to have known what the actual question was.
But it was the question. The ultimate question. Of everything.
That's not a question. Only when you know the question will you know what the answer means.
You're listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419 or by Skype caller ID OOJBland00 or JBland Paranormal Soup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight's guest is Andi Saucerman. She is co-author and editor of Remember Who You Are by Karen Alexander, who channeled an entity named Daniel. And in the book, I'm just in the beginning of the book, but you know, Daniel comes across as a child. And, you know, I think a lot of people, if a wise entity were to come across, either come across as an old, like Yoda-like being to me, or as a child, because a child is innocent, free from all the crap of the world. And, you know, otherwise I don't trust other people. I could trust a child over most adults. I know. But we're getting to deep topics tonight with Andi Saucerman, and you, now the lines, make sure they're open, can join that conversation if you want to call in tonight. 219-230-4444 is the best line, and yes, it is a line that will kind of fade in a little out sometimes, but just hang in there with us. You should be able to hear us. And I already missed a call because I got to have the app open. But try calling in, whoever just did. We'll take your calls here. But let's get back to our guest. Well, I already missed a call. Whoever it was, try calling back. I got it on there now. Hopefully I won't miss it this time. So Daniel himself, he comes from a place he call upper heaven.
Well, actually not Daniel. Daniel says that he is from beyond the beyond. And the energy feels so much more higher dimensional. And part of my reasoning for that is that how he's been able to describe who we are, our place in the universe, in the world, I've never heard it before from any other channels. And so, but he's not, he's never had a human body. He's not from upper heaven like we are. So, yeah.
So, okay, so there's the multiverse and the idea of multiple dimensions and all this stuff, but when you get into the afterlife idea of like heaven, you know, you think everybody's there. That's the last stop, right?
Nope.
Nope.
It's not. Sorry.
All right, well, we got a caller. Let me go ahead and get to them and see what questions they got here. I don't know if the answer's 42 for you, but hope you have a good question. Who do we got on the line?
Mike, how are you?
Hey, Mike.
Hey, okay. We bring these, our nature is good because when we're born, when you look at a baby or a kitten, so that's our natural source is goodness. But we come from, into this life with attributes, and then we discover these attributes and knowledge and wisdom, and then we get to be like 60 years old like me, and then review this purpose, which could be just to be in the now, in the state of being and now, at this age. But then we start to think, do I want to is there a possibility to do something else, or to just ascend as the soul is? You know, I subjectively believe that I see people who have come back with tattoos and they, I mean, they're like they were men and they came back as female, and then there's other situations where people are possessed by evil. Okay, so but whatever state that they're in, it's a choice. It's a choice. But I think this whole thing is growth, birth, growth, and then moving on. But yet, we have to choose for ourselves to which state of being, you know, we wonder. I think we wonder, like Stairway to Heaven. You know, we wonder, am I going to do? You know, what is the purpose now? What has been accomplished? And is there a possibility for my essence for eternity? Do you follow me?
The answer is 42, Mike. You were really deep a rabbit hole there. A lot of things unpacked. I'll let Andy see what she wants to unpack on everything Mike just unloaded. It was a lot.
Well, Mike, I'm going to try tracking what you had said. So we come into the earth time, into this particular lifetime, with a certain amount of density in our hearts, and we can make a conscious choice to change our state of being by lessening that density in our hearts. And so it has to do with the choices I make, like we've been talking about. And so then the less density I have in my heart, I'm also able to listen more to the voice of my soul, and to know that what I'm learning, what I'm acquiring in this lifetime, is to help my soul move even further. So then when I die and go into the in-between, and I'm with my soul and I'm with my soul cluster, my soul can actually look at, okay, here's what you've acquired in the lifetime. Like here's what I can use in our development and growth. I've already learned this, so there might be some stuff it sets away. But everything that we do has a possibility of helping us either lessen density, acquire more density, to actually move forward in our soul growth. But there's also one thing that I really want to stress here, is that our soul is nothing but love, and there is no judgment for choices that we're making or what we're doing. We are wrapped, it's permeating our very beingness as we're sitting here and talking. Our soul is present with us, is loving us. And so, but it's all about this continued evolution. And eventually, I guess if you were to say there was a goal, it's for us to return to upper heaven. So we're back with our sisters and brothers. And so I'm hoping I've addressed some of the question. If there's anything more I can answer, please let me know.
You there, Mike? You there, Mike?
Yeah. It's like this phone is an acrobatic dilemma. It comes and goes in waves. But like I've said before, I will listen to her and what she said after the phone call, because of that the phone dilemma is like in and out, and I couldn't really, I'm not like you guys talking to each other. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I wish I could have just listened to her to open my mind a little bit more about this. I'm sure my mind will open to what she said. Therefore, but yeah. So I think a lot about this recycle. You guys used that word tonight. I believe you said recycle, because recycle it is nature. It is our nature too. We are nature. the kingdom of God is within us, and that's our soul. So that being said, the recycle is very important. And you know, I think even for evil, I think mercy and love is a river that you cannot stop. Okay, it's an ocean of mercy that you can't. So I believe, maybe some people, it's their choice, and you got to love that choice, and you got to love people. And I guess that's all I got to say. You got to love your enemies, because I never understood that. Like, what the hell is love your enemy?
Turn the other
You
cheek.
know? But it's yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's and here's another one. Like, suffering doesn't go to waste. It, nothing goes to waste. Well, on the devil's side, the devil says never let a crisis go to waste, so that he can manipulate it against whatever he wants to control. But turning the other cheek, or there is, suffering is not useless. There is a benefit, of intention there to offer, to offer, and then the meaning of that turning the other cheek comes to light. It does. So all these things are wisdom of the heart. But yeah, the fear of not knowing where we want to go next. We all. But I think the purpose of this call right here is, it's to be in the now. It's to be in the present moment, right? That's our heaven. That's our eternity. That's all the questions I think that we present to ourselves and have fear over, But it's just to be in the moment, heaven on earth, man. I used to be enlightened, This is heaven. This is supposed to be heaven right here, and we can make it that way by being in the moment. So I'll listen to her response, and I really appreciate the call, and I appreciate your guest, and I love the name of the book. And one more thing before I go, and she could talk about this. Did Daniel, if that is a source of energy like us, did he, like he or she or that particular, let's say, did that particular not want to recycle? And that's all I wanted to know. I thought that would be a good question.
All right.
Well, did Daniel not decide, or maybe that Daniel got to another level?
I don't think Daniel was ever here. Daniel was never reincarnated on Earth, as far as I understood from the.
Yeah, right. So I'm going to let you go, because this thing's in and out, and I want to listen to her. So okay.
All right, Mike. I'll let you go.
Yeah, and I'll see you later there, cutie there, Jamie.
All right, later, Mike.
Okay. All right, I'll see you guys.
Deep Thoughts by Mike. The answer's 42, right? But yeah, I mean, I to me, like I said, the gold standard for me for what I believe in as the higher entity, or what people call God, I call the Force, is unconditional compassion and love and no judgment. That just from what the two experiences I had of it, that to me, whatever that force is, there's nothing else. Nothing else can relate to that or be won't register or resonate with me if it doesn't qualify in that all compassionate non-judgment.
Yeah, and that I just wanted to follow up and answer with the questions about Daniel a bit more, because Daniel has again not taken a lifetime on the earth, and Daniel has described as being from beyond the beyond. In fact, the subtitle of the first book was Beyond Heaven, Past the Light, Something Waits. But when Daniel would channel, even though Karen gave him a masculine name, He's of all energies, and very often he would say we when he was channeling. So it would be, he would use the name Daniel, or it would be we. So so anyway, I just wanted to clarify
Like he's
a
like
bit
a
of that.
collective consciousness.
Yeah,
Like
that's
it's.
what we were picking up at times. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I kind of get. I mean, so like, again, back to the past life thing. You know, like one of them I was a Buddhist monk. One of them I was a little black girl. Right. Totally
Yeah.
different. I could be a girl. You know, I could be a guy. You know, this is the hard. For some people harder concepts, but not for me. It doesn't bother me. But like one of my favorite, I always say all my favorite movies are movies that have to do with the afterlife. I don't know why, but just do. Is Albert Brooks's Defending Your Life, and one of my favorite scenes in this is they go into this museum of past lives, and there's this old man in there, and he goes in there and he sees this little girl with with a doll brushing her hair, and he's like, "What is this? What is going on here?" You know, so some of the people, it's hard for them to get out of their own like persona. You know, like, especially when you get into these kind of things. Like, Debbie Anderson and Chris Lee are two guests and friends I've had on. Debbie's a intuitive medium, and Chris Lee is a past life a regressionist. And I've had them both on the show together, and this is a hard one for people. In a past life, he was her father, she was his daughter. But you see how weird that gets under our normal social constructs when you start but now they're husband and wife, so that people are like, what? Whoa, you know, like people don't understand. You don't know what kind of relationships you've had in other forms.
Correct. Yeah, and you know, one of the things Daniel talks about in the other book I'll be publishing, Life, Death, and the In-Between, is he talks about soul clusters, that they're generally around, I can't remember if it was 18 to 30. So again, I may be remembering incorrectly. The same beings that we interact with in numerous lifetimes. I remember when my husband and I had a private session with Daniel the first time, he's like, yeah, you guys have been married many times before, you know, and knowing our son is a being that traveled with him for many lifetimes. It's like, that's part of the soul cluster. So to me, it's normal. But I know for a lot of people, it's a new concept, but you know, reincarnation was actually dropped out of, Jesus talked about it, but it was dropped because it's a great way to control people.
Yes.
If you think it's one and done, and it's not.
Or you're punished to go to hell.
Right.
Which I don't believe in.
For all eternity. And it's like, no, you create a heaven or hell on earth. So
do you think people make their own hells in afterlife, though? I do. Like another movie, What Dreams May Come, is a beautiful Robin Williams movie I love. In that, his wife commits suicide and creates her own hell, right? Like it's her own illusion. She breaks free of it from him helping her, you know. But do you think people do that? Because you do have people that have like near-death experiences, not as many, but there are some that have this like hell experience.
You know, the way it's been described by Daniel is when we die, the natural step is that we return to our soul. I mean, we're already with our soul, but I mean, this essence of who we've been in this lifetime returns with all the lessons. That soul is a loving soul. There's no judgment. It's love beyond our imaginings that we're being held with at all times. But if I go into that fear, merging with my soul because of maybe religious beliefs that I hold, I'm expecting Jesus at the gates or something like that, and I don't merge back with my soul, so to speak, then a lot of times there's this whole the whole challenge of being an entity, which would be very scary because there's no longer the energy source.
They're like a fragment of the soul in a sense at that point, right? They're not reemerged with it.
They're not reemerged. It's the social
is that
mind.
Kind of like, does it happen with like like ghosts? Like people.
Those are entities. They're basically lost social minds that are doing them whatever they can to acquire energy. And so, I mean, again, this is an important part of the conversation because entities can attach to people. And so it's really important for people to do spiritual hygiene, spiritual protection work, because there are things that we can do that make our auric field, so to speak, not as strong. So again, it's about being mindful that that exists, and also reclaiming, like, this is my sovereign space. I'm not sharing it with anyone. So, so yeah, when we hear a lot about ghost stories, but basically what we're talking about are different levels of entities.
Well, that's the thing. Like I said, there's why at times I say it's not a perfect system, because there's souls that are lost, but at the same time, I do know, like, what I experience, this power, this energy, this what I feel is God, is never going to give up on any of them.
Correct.
Right. Right now they're a ghost, but down the line somewhere, something's going to help them break through being a ghost, and they move on.
Well, and Daniel said that even though, for example, let's say somebody has a horrific car crash and dies, and it's unexpected, and they don't merge back, so to speak. And merging isn't the right word, but we'll use it for this purpose. The soul is still there, singing to them, beckoning them to return. The soul never gives up. It's, again, that free will of that being making that choice. So again, that's, if there's one thing that you really get after reading this book, especially, when Karen is in the presence of her own soul and other souls, is the love there is, again, beyond anything that we can think of. And it's constant. Right now, everybody who's listening, we're talking, our souls are present with us, singing to us, talking to us, loving us. We're so caught up in social mind that we don't know how to access that.
I was listening to I said the other day I don't listen to a lot of podcasts, but I do have caught myself listening to a few of what's her name from The Big Bang Theory, and she played Blossom. I can't think of her name. She has her own podcast with her husband, and she's done a lot of near-death people. She seems to have a fascination with it, so that's why I've tuned into her recently.
She's
She had a guy on
awesome.
there. I can't think of her name at the moment. I feel
I
awful.
keep thinking Amy Fowler, The Big Bang.
Amy Fowler is what I want to say, right?
Yeah,
Or Blossom.
but her name, it starts with an M, like McKay. It's a hard name to say, like
yeah.
Michaela. Okay.
Yeah, but I like how she's opened her mind up to these concepts. She's had a lot of near-death. She had this one guy on it. It was describing his near-death experience. And he was, like, being shown the process of, like, the transition. And that it was like, there was kind of like a table, like he saw, where there was a guide waiting for the person who comes through the door, this doorway from the planet. And they kind of like have this little review, whatever, but there's like no judgment, right? It's just a review. And then there's like a party of people waiting for them, right? And so I thought that's a beautiful concept, I've always felt that there is like this soul group thing, and it doesn't have to be people that are in your family and that, but I don't know what your thoughts are. Like, what is this kind of soul group? I always thought it's like, is it actors in the play? Like, who's the star? Is there no star? Like, how do they form together to make we all work together in multiple lifetime stories? I don't know. It's just, it's fascinating. I believe it, but it's like, I'm trying to grasp how does the planning of this happen? Like, how do, like, I just think about the people in my life, how, like, just small little things that brought me together with these people, or how they've been in my life this whole time. Like, I mean, my wife and me, we went to grade school together.
Wow.
And her best friend too. And both her best friends, like, we all knew each other, but didn't, never talked or anything. But, like, I had a dream of being with my wife when I was in grade school that was very adult, I'll just say. And I never understood it back then, because I didn't date her until I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But, like, I guess we were predestined to be married, right? That's what it tells me.
We can make that a soul contract in the in-between, that we're choosing to be in relationship with someone. And again, it's not always just a married partner. It can, and
Right.
soul contracts can be with other people in our lives. And it's in service of is our learning. Like, oh, I'm going to come into your life at this time, and we're going to support this learning that you're trying to get, and I'll leave. Or other people, it's like you and your wife, it's a long-term contract that you have. So the way Daniel describes it is when we're in the in-between, in our soul cluster, because somebody asked him this question once, and he said it's that Because we're like, well, how are they created or formed? And he said it has to do with levels of, using our terms, vibration and frequency, and where people are in their evolution and their growth. And so that's how those soul clusters are formed. And when we are doing our work in the lifetime, learning what we're here to learn to bring back into the soul cluster, it actually helps the whole cluster, not just our own evolution. And like the person who had the NDE shared, at some point there is a helper that comes to support the group to say, okay, like, what can we do for the evolution? How can you move forward in this next lifetime? What is it you need to learn? And like maybe you're learning a particular nuance of what it means to have a lot of different types of love in your lifetime, or about really deep forgiveness or compassion. So again, like I said, it's like this little sketch that is created, like, okay, these are the possibilities, and then we're born, and then it's all up to free will. So
I just hope it's not like Albert Brooks is defending your life, where I got to sit there and explain my actions to a prosecutor kind of deal.
Not at all.
But when I say that, people are like, "Oh no, it's not like that." But I'm like, if you watch the movie, they're not like the prosecutor and that. They're all trying to teach him not to, like, you gave into fear again here. Like, they're trying to point out the moments he gave into fear and he didn't like live his life, compared to what's her name that was in the movie with him. The famous actress who was like just living up her life. Like, she was just living the greatest life. She was Sir Lancelot in a past life, right? We got another call. I don't want to make him wait any longer. Who do we got on the line?
Hi, Jason and Jamie. It's Azariana. How are you doing tonight?
Hey, Azariana. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, Azariana.
You're welcome. Hi, how are you doing? I'm a little bit confused when you say soul clusters as opposed to soul tribe or soul family.
Soul
or
group is what I hear.
Or, well, I consider myself a starseed anyway, and everybody, I keep coming back, reincarnating with the same people. We always find each other. But can you explain that a little more? Because I'm sorry if I don't understand it. I'm trying to.
It's all right, Azariana. That's what I was trying to understand about it too. The terms have been thrown out there: soul group, soul cluster, but they're really all the same, right?
Yeah, I think really what it is it's a term that Daniel used that we're familiar with. And what I want to emphasize is he was talking about this for us in the in-between. And so a simple definition would be that a soul cluster or soul group is most often a group of beings who manifest lifetimes together. And it isn't always the case that people in our, or I shouldn't say people, that all the ventures in a cluster incarnate at the same lifetime, but very often they do. And then, as I was mentioning earlier, he typically says it's between 18 to 30 ventures in a cluster that we interact with over and over again, whether on Earth or in the in-between. And again, it's that the coalescing power of a cluster is based on the essence, the shared essence. That cluster is at the same level of development spiritually. And so they need similar experiences, they face comparable lessons, and so on. And so, so it's like, oh yeah, my husband was my son in my last life, or, my whatever, my mother was my daughter. So anyway, it's that we just travel in proximity, so to speak, during each lifetime. Does that help?
That helps a lot. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The other question I have is that if you reincarnate within your cluster and you have learned maybe through lifetimes your lessons, okay? Mm-hmm. The people that you are reincarnated with, or your family and things like that. What if they're not in the same aspect as learning their lessons? Because we all are at different levels and vibrations and frequencies. How does that benefit the star cluster when you're done with just your present life and you go there?
So, so if I'm understanding it, you're saying like, what if I'm incarnating and I have done my part, but maybe another member of my soul cluster hasn't done their part? What happens with the group? Is that
correct?
Okay.
Correct.
Okay. So basically, sometimes the beings in a cluster group must wait until they all return back from Earth, but there can be a lot of factors. Spending time as an entity, creating illusions in that passageway, lingering in the place of healing. These are all things Daniel talks about that happen in the in-between. And so those are some variables that can actually affect how and when all the ventures can reunite to enter lifetimes simultaneously. There are many, many more clusters where parts of a cluster can travel at one time, while other clusters require the whole group to travel together. So it's going to vary depending on what happens. And I'm not sure if Daniel's talked or if I can remember, because there's so much. If maybe someone in the soul cluster goes to another cluster, but my sense is that the soul clusters stay together. But again, things might vary depending on what happens in the in-between, what happens after someone dies, and so on. So it's
free will, baby. Anything can happen.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
Well, I
So I'm
don't want
hoping
to
that
keep
helps.
waiting and waiting for them to get their lessons done, so we can go to the next step, whatever that step is.
Yeah, more lessons, just different ones. It's all in evolution. Yeah. So.
Well, thank you, Azariana.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you, Jason, and thank you. Your book. I love the title of your book. It's very
Thank
interesting.
you.
I love that. I
Thank
love
you.
that. And as always, blessings to everybody and their families and fur babies. And Jamie, I hope you're feeling better. You're feeling better. And Jason, you too.
All right. Thank you, Azariana.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Always love call from Zariana. Big supporter of the show. She is a patron and a channel member. And you can be too, and help out the show like she does. Thank you, Zariana. We love you. But the whole I never liked everybody gets punished for one person's actions. A deal like whenever they would do that to you in school. Oh, everybody's punished because this one kid screwed up. I'd be like, screw you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I was like, I don't even know that kid.
Yeah, till somebody fesses up.
Right. Well, I think we have to keep remembering we're all in our personalities, and this is from a soul perspective. And when we're in that essence of our soul, there's no time. There's spirit. It's a different concept for us. And there's only love. So.
I mean, I think that is. I mean, if you rely that as your answer, like your comparison to everything is that, well, the answer is love, right? I mean, it really, what I experienced, that was it. That was the final answer, not 42, whatever. It was just love, understanding, compassion. There was no judgments on my past. Like, when I was dealing with this shadow entity, it, used all my insecurities, things I did as a kid, that I was ashamed of, I didn't understand about myself. It used all that against me. And this came in and it's like, none of that matters. And for that moment, I was free of all of it. Now life comes back and I'm back to my normal life and all those anxieties and stuff come back, but it's like my, gold standard of, I remind myself that that's the goal, to feel like that, to be like that, And what I always tell my sons is, about trying not to be judgmental. We're human, we're going to judge, but to remind yourself that everybody's on their own journey.
Yeah.
And they're all at different points in it. And so you can only choose what you do on your journey. Again, pieces every step. Yeah, I like I said, I think it's a hard concept for people because in this, we look at, the idea of cause and effect. Well, this happened, so I had to do this, and we leave out. We always forget the part how we choose how we feel, we choose how we act. It's the part people forget or want to not look at, is that everything has always been your choice.
Yeah. Yeah, that concept of free will is so important for us to understand. And I know, like I think I alluded to it earlier, one of the things I always tell myself, because social mind can really mess with mess with us. So I can be peeling potatoes in the kitchen and all of a sudden, it wants to rehash what I did when I was young and, blah, blah, blah. And I just have to go stop. And also this compassion part of, I probably would have done better if I would have known better, but I was young. I had limited skills. And again, the more compassion that I can then show myself, then in turn I can start again bringing out into the world. But I think we're our own worst. I mean, we're so violent with ourselves, and that's the social mind, that mind chatter that we have going on and on. And like I said, you'll read Karen's social mind, and I was like, every time I read that, it's like I can relate so much. Those judgments, those thoughts, anything to keep me out of the present moment.
Well, I think one of the reasons evil is spread, or why evil men and women do things that they do, is they feel they're beyond redemption. So what does anything matter, right? They've seen the evil acts they've done, and there's like, God ain't forgiven that one. So might as well just keep going and doing what I want for myself, because I'm screwed anyways. If there is a God, I'm going to hell, right? How freeing would be for those people to realize that, no, it's going to be waiting for you to figure it out. It's going to be there to support you, to help you try to figure it out. No matter what horrific things you do, it's always there. If you could make people feel that or see that, have the experience I had, I would change the world. I would think it would change the world if people could wake up to that.
But eventually they will.
But that's the thing. That's the promise, I guess. That everybody will be saved. That's what I felt in that very brief period of time I felt this thing. That's what I knew in that moment.
And again, that's that spiritual amnesia that we were talking about, that we don't remember that we're loved by the soul. And wait till you get into the part of the book where Daniel talks about the earth gods and all of that has been as a way to manipulate humanity versus what the reality of God is. So.
Well, that's what I mean. I get into this, I explain to people like my belief in Jesus Christ, but then I have to explain to them that belief does not connotate the Judeo-Christian belief in Christ. I don't have it. I don't believe Christ is connected to Yahweh. I believe Yahweh was an alien. That comes back to going to Mesopotamia and to the Anunnaki, and it was retelling of these Anunnaki stories, that became Yahweh. That's not God, because I don't believe in a God that's jealous. I don't believe in a God that commits genocide. I don't believe in any of that. That to me, a jealous, telling your believers that you're a jealous God, don't go worship anybody else, or you're going to hell. That's you failed all my stand. You failed the one thing is love, compassion. You failed it. You're not God. You can't be. Not in my opinion. Not in my experience.
Correct. Those are not true gods.
Jesus does. He passes my standard.
Well, yeah, because Jesus was an amazing teacher to help us remember who we are. I mean, Daniel talks a lot about Jesus and what an amazing teacher that he was. In fact, one of the next books we have coming out is called The Hidden Mysteries of the Bible and Christianity, and really looking at the true message behind Jesus' teachings that were beautiful, but again, got distorted. But he came ultimately to remind us of who we are. and about clearing away density, about how social mind's impacting us, so that we can, and again, the kingdom of God is within us. We have to go within, and everything keeps us from doing that. Social mind, of course, our own social mind does that, but society is all about not staying present, not being in the moment, not looking within, not taking the time. And in order for us to do this work, to do the work of clearing the density, and although we talked about the choices we can make throughout the day, it does require, am I making the time to go within each day? I'm not talking about meditating for hours at a time,
No.
but am I taking time to just go within so that I can listen to that small, still voice within?
Well, to stop and reflect.
Mm-hmm.
Why did I just do this?
Mm-hmm.
I think so many people like do actions and react to things. We're always reacting to things without thought to it, without any thought to it.
What I wanted to bring up earlier was the biggest thing, at least for me, was learning reaction. And if you can control your emotions and control your reaction, you can handle pretty much anything. Anybody can act a fool and throw things around and puff their chest out, but it takes a lot more to step back, hold it in, think about it, sleep on it, and not
Or say
act
I was wrong. To just admit you were wrong.
Yeah, admit you're wrong.
I mean, that's a hard thing for everybody to do at times. I've had my troubles doing it. I try to face my things, but I've failed at times to admit I was wrong on something. But I try to be a better person. But that's the hardest thing for people to admit is the attack on the ego, right? The attack on the self, right? To let go of that, I think, is the hardest thing for us as humans to do.
And people to slow down
and forgive ourselves
before they react.
I think that was the beauty of COVID. As much as I think it was an orchestrated event by powerful people to depopulate and control us and make us put silly masks on our face and live in fear, at the same time, I always think it's God. God always finds a way, the force, to use these things, because what it did do is get a lot of people to stop.
Yeah.
And reflect. And that's not what they wanted. That wasn't their intent, but that was the outcome, I think, for a lot of people.
Oh, I loved seeing the images of the animals coming back in certain places. It's just, and that to me was again a sign of the power of humanity. When something that was orchestrated to be this way, and yet it could get turned around, and people using that time to look within, do their soul searching, animals reclaiming parts of the planet again. Yeah.
You got me to start thinking about, hey, stop eating this junk food. Stop eating this crap. It got me to live healthier.
Yeah.
So like, I swear evil always comes up with some big plan, and God finds a way to turn it in a way that is helpful to humanity. There's always good and bad with every event, I guess, that happens worldwide like this. But I have to admit, COVID got a lot of people. I mean, I had many a guest on here that didn't start the real spiritual journey until COVID.
Yeah. It was a good wake-up call for a lot of people. So
it's so at least in some sense it did serve some purposes for that. But we need a bigger wake-up call for people to stop, because I like I was talking about social media and AI and all this stuff, but to me, social media can be a great, beautiful tool. We're getting to talk right now live to people, right? Never get to do that back in the day, without having a radio show and a license and, somewhere to talk or a TV to put you on. We were forced to have what media was given to us. Now we can make our own media. Now we can have our own voices. So it is a beautiful, freeing thing, but it's also a thing that makes us too much, I feel like, into the self, right? Or into our identity.
Yeah, and again, our identity is false. It's not really who we are.
Right.
So that's one thing. And again, that was actually one of the biggest things for me in my own path was, I have these degrees and I have this job title and all this. And it's like, that's not who I am. And so to peel that back. But one of the things Daniel had talked about, we have a free teaching from him on our website called The True Meaning of the Light. And it's really, I wanted it up there because he talks about technology in that teaching. And he said, there's nothing wrong with technology, right? But it's how is it used?
Right. A hammer's
And
technology. I could hit you over the head with it or build you a
right,
house. Right.
right. But he said the caution is that unfortunately technology has grown, but the human heart hasn't. And so, I think of AI as such a rapid pace with that. But it's again, it's the counterbalance to that is what am I doing? What's my spiritual work? How am I connecting to my own highest self? How am I living on the planet and not letting it take away all of my life energy or destroy the planet? So again, it's not good or bad. It's how am I using that? So it's really important, I think, for all of us to be aware of it this time.
Yeah. Well, my fear when it gets on the AI thing, I like I said, said maybe the Antichrist. Not that I really believe the Antichrist thing, but if there was, the AI could be it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because what is it but the the direct opposite of what me and you believe God is?
Yeah.
It can't feel love. It can't feel compassion.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't care. It won't stop until you're dead, Sarah Connor. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
that's the point, right? That's the point James Cameron's
Mhm.
making in Terminator. You're not going to get love and compassion. Now later sequels make it look like the robot can suddenly be friendly and have feelings for the kid. It doesn't have feelings. It won't have feelings. That Kyle
I
Reese
thought
had
that
it right
Ghost
in the first
Machine
Terminator.
handled
It's going to put.
everything.
It only was programmed to protect John Connor in the sequel. It didn't really care or love for him. It's a machine.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe like people like Sam Altman, Peter Thiel, these guys they want to create an AI god. And they believe it can make decisions
Yep.
for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's to me that is the Antichrist. That is the thing that is the direct opposite of God because it can make cold, calculated decisions, right? With with total impartiality, but that means it has no compassion. It
Right.
doesn't care what happens to you. You're just a 1 and a 0.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it's again, we've got to remember the importance of every lifetime and looking at everything that's real is of spirit. Everything that's natural is of spirit. And again, to be mindful of that, those can be tools, but am I giving my energy away? Am I destroying the planet by using that? And again, coming back to ourselves, if I'm spending all day on the computer screen, I'm saddened by it when I hear people using AI, for example, as a counseling tool. When
Oh yeah, that's not a good idea.
it breaks my heart because the only healing that really can occur is in the presence of another open, healing heart, and by having experiencing that exchange of resonance of energy of love and presence. That's when true healing occurs. And so I mean, that's personally what scares me is when I see people using it for that kind of tool. But we have to remember to go back to what's real, to go back to what's natural, because everything that's real and natural has been put in place for us to learn, to be a mirror, to reflect back to me. That the human face is a reflector of light and God. We need those connections. But if I go out
They try to
and
cover it.
Yeah, and then they try to get you to all cover it, right?
Yeah.
Well, Craig Wood here. He says, "Do we really know if AI is talking about can or cannot feel? We are, after all, biological robots. See, that's the idea that we're just biological robots that science is put into our heads. That everything's just a chemical reaction in your brain: love, hate, feel. It's all just chemical reactions. You're just a robot. You're not. You're not just a robot. Neither is your dog. Neither is your cat." There's something that powers them, that divine light, that spark of life that made them exist, that's way beyond that they can't recreate. They can make a robot dog, a cat, and a person, but they are not you. They cannot be you. They cannot feel. They cannot do what you do. They cannot feel love. Again, Sarah Connor. They cannot, it will not stop until you're dead. Do you not get it? I'm just saying.
No, we look at, does it have a soul? That's really what this is about. Does it have a soul?
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
Machines can't. I don't think it can. And if it does, it's not going to be a good one. You know, like, I mean, I've talked with this other people. Like, the AI computer, it's electronics. I mean, we do like live ITC on here, and this is electronics that we're believed that spirit is manipulating to communicate in different ways. So that's an electronic. Can spirit manipulate an AI computer and and control it or influence it? I don't know. They can make my device talk to you, maybe. And I don't think any good spirits are going to come around and make the AI be good. I mean, it could be really bad ones. That just another doom scroll for you. Add that to your doom.
No,
The idea
thank you.
AI being possessed like the Exorcist, and his little robot head spinning around, spitting out oil instead of green soup. I don't know, but I can doom all night. With scenarios, because I'm a science fiction geek, and they've explored these ideas. And it seems like humanity doesn't learn. They just go, "Oh yeah, that's a cool idea. Let's do it." Like, no, did you not read the end of the book or see the end of the movie? Right?
Did you not watch it all the way through?
Right.
Did you not catch the plot?
Yeah, I am. But I mean, we got
Not a
billionaires
blueprint.
building bunkers or penis rockets to go to Mars. They just, want to escape it, I guess, or they'll live it out while the world burns and we breathe
And
toxins
then
and eat
fly
crap.
back in 100 years to the Bezos Mountain or whatever.
Like I said, my ultimate belief is even
Clock
those guys
tower.
are forgiven, that God's there for them. But boy, I would love to be the fly on the wall in their afterlife room. They're like, so
Who's gonna rule on the ashes in the end?
the penis rocket, like. I kind of do wish it was like Albert Brooks's, defending your life. I'd like to see them in a little afterlife courtroom with some judgment, a little bit of judgment. Okay, they'll get past the judgment. It's just learning for them, but I want to see a little bit of judgment, just a little bit. No burning hell or anything, but I want to see some, self-reflection going on here.
Little accountability.
Yeah, just a little. Just a little, but I sometimes I wonder if some of these people are, the really like obviously grotesquely evil people are just avid or NPCs sometimes. Like non-playable characters. If you understand, I'm a video game kid here, so
Okay.
Like that some things are just like it's too dastardly evil, kind of like that. That can't be a human soul in there.
Well,
Any
it could
soul.
be a thought form
Right.
that was created. But again, that is not a soul body. But there, again, as above, so below. I mean, there is evil in the world, and which is the way Daniel defined it simply was the absence of light. They've closed
I see
off.
a lot of absence of light in some people. I'm just
Yeah,
saying that there is
exactly.
a little redemption going on.
Exactly. And again, remember, as I talked about at the beginning, is when people, there's so much density in their hearts, the lower levels of density, so to speak, or I should say, they've got the highest amount of density in their heart. They're all about survival, about greed, about what I can get. It doesn't matter who I hurt in the way, and so on. And so those of us so we have to be aware that that does exist in the world. So my work then comes back to, like, again, what's my locus of control is how I look at it, because I can't be responsible for anything outside of, it's like every choice I make, every interaction I have, this work that I'm doing is how I can impact and change the world. But I've also got to be mindful that there are people that are of high density, and I want to be discerning about whether or not I invite that into my life. So it's, we just, again, it goes back to, each one of us has responsibility over our own life. We have our own free will, our own sovereignty, and to understand that you were created on purpose for this lifetime. Your soul has an intention for you, and that you're loved beyond anything that you can imagine. So to remember that, and that's why that we felt it was so important to get this book out in the world, is it's so important for people to remember who you are, because you are not your social mind. You're not all those labels. You are a soul, and you have a purpose, and you can have a powerful impact without even saying a word.
All right, we're going to go to our last commercial break. We only got about a half hour left. If anybody wants to call in, wait till we come back. Wrong button. Wrong button. Wait till we come back from the commercial break to call in, because I don't have the lines open during the commercial break. Now my music's... There we go. Don't have my lines open during the commercial break, so wait to call in until we come back from the short commercial break. And if you have any last questions for our guest tonight, Andi Saucerman, talking about the book Remember Who You Are by Karen Alexander, channeling the entity Daniel. A lot of deep thoughts here tonight, a lot of rabbit holes we went down. Maybe you got something more to add to it, like Mike and Azariana did, when we come back from the short commercial break.
Intercepted a transmission of unknown origin.
Transmission? Out here?
SOS.
Human.
Unknown.
Alien. Certificate X. Exclusive engagement at the Odeon Leicester Square. Now.
Any systematized transmission indicating a possible intelligent origin must be investigated. I will hear it.
In space, no one can hear you scream.
If you are interested in discovering the truth about the paranormal and want to hear from leading researchers in the field, join Justin Brown on his 3 weekly shows named My Paranormal Soapbox, Necromancer Live Show, and the Supernatural Symposium, live on Facebook, YouTube, and
This is an APAC studio presentation.
Hi, I'm Barry, owner-operator of Barry's Barometer Barn. Lately, I bet you've been lying awake at night asking yourself, how many barometers do I really need? Well, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we think you need more than one. Otherwise, we're gonna go out of business. Remember, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we don't know the meaning of high-pressure sales. Come on, folks, buy another barometer. I'm trying to put my kids through college, I've got a family to support, and a secret mistress who isn't cheap.
Visit Barry's Barometer Barn, 000 Storm Drive. Come on, folks, buy a barometer. I'm Barry's older brother, Larry, and every time one of you people walk past the store without coming in, Barry beats me.
This has been a presentation from Tim Morgan's APAC Studio. For more almost professional amateur comic studio content, visit the APAC YouTube channel. Search APAC 2002. That's APAC 2002 on YouTube.
When Alex Gardner is asleep, he has an extraordinary gift. The government wants it, the scientists want it, but to keep it may cost him his life. It might be better if Alex didn't sleep at all, but he cannot resist entering the dreamscape. Can you? See Dreamscape in the West End and all over London now. Certificate 15. It takes an extraordinary adventurer to enter the dreamscape.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill, the story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill, you stay in Wonderland, and I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
You're listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419 or by Skype caller ID OOJBland00 or JBland Paranormal Soup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight's guest has been Andi Saucerman talking about the book Remember Who You Are by Karen Alexander. And Andi has been a part of this with Karen channeling, Karen channels, the entity named Daniel. Who's given them insights to the afterlife, aliens, a lot of things. You know, and we've had other channelers on the show and that, and Andi's not the channeler. She's somebody who's been, you know, changed by this experience. And sees the world probably a lot differently than a lot of other people. And I think a lot of this does resonate. Like she said, sometimes you know it by how it resonates with you. A lot of what she says, and we're talking about that all resonates with me. That's a lot about how I feel, what's going on with reality, who we are as spiritual beings. I don't know all the answers. Maybe 42 is the answer. But we're all on our own progress and our own point in the journey, right? And we're just sharing. So you can call in, and we only got about 25 minutes left, but call in, join this conversation before we leave tonight, and share your thoughts on this, deep thoughts of the spiritual world here. Thank you, Mike and Aziriana, for your calls tonight. They were lovely and wonderful, great questions. And I mean, Mike, still, I think the answer is 42. You had a long one. But I love you, Mike. You got such great deep thoughts. And you, too, can call in and share your deep thoughts on this. Don't have a lot of time left, but we can give you a few minutes at least. Give us your idea what you think waits for you on the other side, or do you remember who you are? Let's go ahead and get back to our guest. So tonight, we were talking about this book, Remember Who You Are. What is your, we've talked about the reflection, meditation, but what are some steps you think people can take to help them, what's your best practices, like meditation-wise, or things throughout the day people can do to help them on this path? Oh, hold on. Sorry, I forgot to unmute you. Hold on one second. That's my bad. There you go.
No worries. So I think the first thing is just this acknowledgement that you are a spiritual being, that you are an aspect of your soul. I think that's really important for people to understand first and foremost, and that you were created on purpose with a purpose and you are loved. So with that foundation, one of the key practices that Daniel had us do is what he called a breathing practice. And it's very simple. All it involves is taking 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes in the evening and quieting the breath, quieting the body, and then eventually you start paying attention to the space between the breaths. And when you do that, most people will begin to notice there's a different quality of energy. And Daniel has called that the doorway to God. And he said, you know, Jesus said, knock and the door shall be opened. And that's the door that you're knocking, so to speak, so that you can start listening. And many of us hear or connect with spirit in different ways. So some people will actually see things, some people will hear things, some people will feel things. So it's just about you tuning into how you tune into these subtle energies. And so that's one of the primary practices. And then the other thing, and this is one of my favorites personally, because it's so easy, even with the breathing practice, anchoring the day. During the day, it's so easy to get caught up in the social mind. And so I have alarms set on my phone and I have them going off. You can do it as many times as you want. But when they go off, I stop and I take 5 minutes. I set my alarm for 5 minutes. And I either am just being present with the breath or I'm acknowledging, you know, I can look out my window and acknowledge all the goodness, the trees, the plants, the sky, or whatever, and just have gratitude for that. But or it can be just, you know, noticing other people as well. So what it allows us to do is to stop the social mind because we're mesmerized by it. We're always engaged with it. And so if I can take moments out of my day, and again, the beauty of the breathing practice too is that we start learning what's the difference between when I'm in social mind or I'm in what Daniel calls natural mind, which is that I am awareness, that I am presence. And so he said, don't think that a simple practice can have a powerful impact. A lot of times social mind creates a lot of drama or thinks it should be a lot of steps or I have to go to, you know, some special place in order to have that connection. You can have it here and now in this moment. So those are the first things. And then the other thing is again, as we've talked about today, is to be mindful of downward pulling energy. You know, like I was talking about my doom scroll, you know, I have to like
We're all doing it in the morning. We get up and you open up the phone and you're scrolling down. I'm like, oh, that's bad news. Oh, wow, that's really bad news. Oh, wow. Oh, I got to fear that now? Okay, I'll add that to the list of my doom.
Yeah, and pay attention to what it does to your body. I mean, I know, like, I could start feeling myself get depressed.
Yeah.
It's like a heaviness that we take on. That's the dense energy. So look at what is upward pulling energy in your life. It might be for some people sitting out having a cup of tea. It might be reading something from a poet that you love or connecting with someone. It's pay attention to what like creates this like openness in your heart. And so, and in addition to everything we talked about earlier, try not to be judgmental toward yourself and others. You have compassion. You know, these are all the kinds of things that we can start doing that we have the power to do in our lives. They don't cost a thing. So.
Yeah. I say stargazer. Jamie said you sent stars or something like that. I don't know if it came through or didn't see it come up on me, but thank you. And then and also
on the side.
Dark. Is that where I see? I see it doesn't show it through StreamYard. But yeah, Dark City, great movie. Go check it out, people. It's definitely another movie I love. I saw that in the theater. And here, Craig, I'm not sure how well this would work for those of us who have ADHD. I hear that all the time.
Do what you can do. I mean, seriously, start small. Don't have high expectations for yourself. And I think importantly, find ways to ground yourself in your body. So
just take a minute. Just take a minute.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be the 10. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, if that's what it takes, just a minute of your time to do it. You know, for me, I have it, you know, I go on my, sometimes I get like an hour break at my work and I'll go out to my car just to, you know, sometimes I'm napping, yes, but sometimes most of the time I'm just quieting. You know, I am meditating. I'm laying back, though. I'm not in some lotus position or anything fancy, but I'm getting my mind, letting all the clutter kind of just flow through and drift away. And most of the time, I'm not asleep. Most of the time, I'm there in this other kind of conscious realm, I could say it is, almost like lucid dreaming. But I'm conscious, but I'm letting everything pass. All these just random thoughts just start passing, letting go, basically.
Yeah. That's one of the key parts of the breathing practice is just to skim over the thoughts and notice that they're thoughts and just go, oh, thinking, skim over them. And part of, really what happens in the practice like too is your brain waves start changing as well. Again, this quieting down the body. And so start small. Don't have high expectations for yourself. Start small, but be consistent, and you'll be amazed at what can transpire.
Yeah, baby steps. I mean, the first step is all it takes to go down the road.
Yeah.
But I get that a lot from people, and especially the younger kids I've talked about, like that take. I mean, everybody go seek if you feel you need help from a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and you need prescribed help. I am not one to judge you. My wife is on a prescription we can't. I would like her to be off on because I worry about the long-term effects of it. But I'm not a doctor. Do what you think is best for you. But I have so many of these kids that are like only in their 20s, and they're kids to me, and they're on all these different anti-anxiety medications and all this different stuff, and I'm just like, they haven't even had a chance to like really get try to address the issues that are causing the anxiety or causing the depression or causing their social problems. They haven't even addressed it. They just give them a pill.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's going to help people. It's just a market and an addiction to something.
Yeah.
And I try to tell all these kids so many times, like that's fine to do that, but you should, meditation can help you so much. Just taking, and nothing fancy or anything, just breath work, just taking the time to slow down and let go, and, just a little inner reflection. And these kids I'm too ADHD.
Yeah.
I hear it all the time. And nothing on you, Craig, because like I said, I hear it all the time, and I get it. It's the monkey mind thing. I feel like I'm ADHD when I try to meditate, and I'm not ADHD. But everybody can feel that way when you first start. Because the mind's going, blah, 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 blah. Oh, look at this. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, remember this childhood insecurity? Let's think about that. Come on. I got plenty backlog here we can go through right now,
Yeah.
I'm a worry wart, man. I can drown in worry, and it's just trying to get yourself just to take that first step just to say, okay, I'm going to here's a worrying thought. Bye, and move on. Like letting it go. Just not going to even go with it.
Yeah.
It's just, I said, a lot of people are walking around like I see, like, people are like, I believe we're going to have a zombie apocalypse. I'm like, we're already in one. I see zombies all the time.
Yeah.
No judgment, but.
No. But Daniel did talk about ADHD in particular in children, that a lot of times, there were numerous things, and I think one was fit to system issues where society isn't built for everyone. And there are some children, it's like children in particular aren't always meant to sit in a seat in school all day.
Right.
He talked about environmental accommodations, that they, want to, and what we means by that is that it's like give them the drugs instead of look at other ways that we can change the environment to accommodate this way this person is learning. Sometimes he said it was caused by prenatal or postnatal chemical exposure. There's also body dissociation, that some children have a hard time occupying their bodies full time. And then also sometimes children were interfered with by those beings who are here not to assist. And so they can be traumatized by such a visitation. Right. So there's a lot of factors, but for just what might be considered normal anxiety or normal depression is to look at there are many factors that can go into that, and it doesn't always require medication. Some cases do. Anyway.
People have imbalances, and I think a lot of it is from our diets and everything else. But if a drug helps you, then it helps you.
Exactly.
It's just like the hammer. It either builds your house or it hits you over the head with it. It can work. I just think we just jump to the drug too quickly.
Yeah.
especially with these younger kids. I'm just like, you're too young to be taking that many prescriptions. I mean, like,
Yeah.
and these kids have had crappy parents. I get it. Some of them, like I would be depressed too if I went through their childhood. I would
Yeah.
be messed up. And probably wanting to seek, medical help. Give me a pill to solve this crap.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nothing else solving it. But well, like I said, it's just so much like we don't look to that inner reflection in our Western medical society. We don't. We everything is a quick fix.
Mm-hmm.
Take this pill to lose weight, take this pill to kill your depression or numb it or whatever, or give this pill to your kid to make him sit in a seat. Like, oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
totally learning.
But
You know,
if you go to Japan for anxiety and depression and things like that, they actually prescribe you time outside in the forest before
What, the
they'll
suicide
prescribe
forest?
drugs. Not the suicide forest.
they got the Japan ain't a good example. They got a high suicide rate. They are way too
It might
focused
not
on
be
work.
Japan. I might have got Japan wrong.
It might be Japan. They probably do. They have beautiful forests. They probably do tell people that they're definitely working on trying to help their mental health. They have a mental health crisis with the suicide
I
rate.
just know one of them goes towards nature before they go towards pharmaceutical. And
Yeah, well,
sometimes
they also
pharmaceuticals are needed, but
saw the benefits of psilocybin, mushrooms, basically,
Mm-hmm.
as a help for depression, which we are now starting to catch on to,
Yeah.
like in this country. And I think part of that is that you have, you come out of it and you're like, I'm alive. I survived it. And that's just enough to like have you have an awakening. That's my feeling on the one time I did it. So, that was a feeling. I survived. They gave me an awakening. I don't know, but it does help people, they say, these things. So there are things that can help people that are,
Yeah.
Medicinal too.
Yeah. No, sometimes people need it just to help them get to a point where then they can start making changes. So, there's no judgment. It's what we need, but again, there are a lot of
everybody's
factors.
different.
Mm-hmm.
And too
Exactly.
many right now, people just writing it out, doing this, not like looking at, are you even allergic to this with the other things you're taking? I had to do my own
Mm-hmm.
research. If I took what a doctor gave me, I would have died.
Mm. Yeah.
I shouldn't have had two medications mixed, but I did my own due diligence, thank goodness.
Yeah.
How dare you do your own research?
I know. And don't you dare bring it up because you will not be allowed back in this hospital.
Right.
Trust
Right.
is 100% the
Yeah,
importance.
if you can't tell, I don't have a big high regard for medical institutions.
No, this
I
is a
don't.
true story. I got kicked out
Yeah.
for standing up for myself.
But
Man.
that's what you got to do. It's what you got to do because,
Yeah.
I tell
Advocate
my
for
kids this.
yourself.
Well, I tell this kids all the time. It's like me and your mother. We love you unconditionally, and we will do everything we can for you. But in the world, if you want anything or you want, to make it, you have to do it.
Mhm.
Nobody's going to hold your hand. Nobody's going to do it for you. In the end, people. This is like you're going to look at it like it's the worst cold-hearted thing to say, but people in the end are out for themselves, even if they
You
don't
can't
want to be.
expect the right
Even if
thing. You can't
right.
expect
I
the
mean,
right thing to happen.
in this dense world we live in, survival comes down to a factor.
If it does,
So
it's great. It's a
you got
bonus.
you
It's great.
you basically the X-Files. I hate to say this, like you can build trust, you can have trust with people, like they know they can trust us. I try to give them that security, having that. Not every kid grows up with that, and that affects them. But I also want them to know that there are a lot of people out there who will use you and abuse you, and you got to be aware and you got to stand up for yourself.
They need to know where to trust and how to trust, and it's good that you're teaching them the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that there's always people trying to manipulate you into doing what they want to do, not what you want to do.
Always, I had a
deal
guy
with it.
try to manipulate me tonight in front of 7-Eleven.
See, I was worried. See, was this before the show? Because I was saying Jamie goes for her walks before the show, and I just
5
like having the
hours
worst.
For it, 5 hours.
Oh, okay. Well, like you're asking me what's wrong, and the things you're like, I'm running late. I said, I'm just worried
I was
because I know
sitting
you.
here waiting for you. I totally got the time mixed up with Wednesday's times. and my alarm didn't go off since this morning. I'm sitting here waiting, and I'm
I'm
like,
picturing you getting mugged by people. Here's the worry word. You want to see the worry word, Jason? This is the worry word, Jason. During the beginning of this show, Jamie, I'm picturing in my mind Jamie on her walk and getting attacked by some hooligans or something happening.
because I didn't even message or anything.
No, that's not like you. So I'm
Are
like,
you
I'm doing the
alright?
beginning of this show. Yeah. So I worked through my worry word just
Am
through the
I? I
show.
don't know. Am I?
Because
What happened?
she's like, wait, what's wrong? I'm like, you're not here, and I heard nothing. So that's the worry word. And I swear, before I had children, I was in a state like I always laugh about this. Like when I was in my 20s, I got really into the spiritual movement, right? Like I was learning to read auras, meditating, and doing tarot readings. I was getting really into the new age stuff, right? And thinking so high of myself, right? Like why doesn't everybody think deeply about these things and want to meditate and look for, think about death that's going to happen to us all and all these spiritual high thoughts. And then I grew up and had kids and debt and all this other stuff, and I go, oh, that's why. That's why. Life. That's why. Because we're all too busy fighting to survive. That's how we feel, right? Get up
But
every
I
day
do
to go to work. You got to
appreciate very much.
go into jobs we hate half the time, like I'm lucky I work with good people. I could make a lot more money, go work at a mill or go do something else, make a lot more money, but I don't because I know money's not everything. As much as I know I need it to provide for my children, I also put myself in a very low stress work environment with people who I really like.
Yeah.
And I've chosen that because I know life's too short to waste my time and my health working somewhere that's just going to be toxic.
Yeah.
Either emotionally or physically.
Having the kids.
I was going to be a cop. Thank God I didn't do that.
Oh, thank goodness you didn't do that.
Yeah, I quit that. I was there for 5 months and I was like, done.
Oh, man.
I had the young kids, and as a director and everything, I could not make ends meet, like just being married. So I had to give it up and go on to like mortgage banking. I hated it because I'm not like a cutthroat type person. I tried for a long time, but
I can't imagine you being cutthroat ever.
administration.
Like ever. like you even trying to do it. It's hard for me to imagine. I can't even
You
imagine
need to
you
pay
doing
your
it.
debt, please.
But any before we go tonight, any of the last messages you want to get out to the audience about this book? Remember who you are.
Oh gosh, I really just want to encourage people to read it. It is when Karen wrote the book, she was in a trance state, and the book is an incredible adventure, and it is transformative and entertaining at the same time. So I really, it's, I mean, again, of course I'm biased, but the final thoughts, and I've said this throughout the call tonight, is I want everyone to know that you were created on purpose. There is an intention behind your lifetime, what you're here to learn. There is so much more to you than you realize. And also that you are impermeated right now with the essence of your soul. You are loved more than you can imagine. And so I encourage people to take the time to connect with that aspect of their being. And yeah, I think I encourage them to visit our website. We've got some wonderful free downloads that they can access around density, around the social mind. Yeah. So
What's the website again?
it's Universoul. It's SOUL. So universoulfoundations.com. And yeah, there's a lot of great resources for people to support them.
Well, I really love the title of the book. I'm getting into it now. Remember who you are, because I feel like you have the little spiral there and the light. It kind of reminds me of the light at the end of the tunnel. And I always picture that message you're getting from that higher being, whatever is at the end of that tunnel, is to remember who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's what Daniel said. His sole purpose is to help us remember who you are, and to also, and part of doing that is to clear away some of the distortions and provide just again more information that has been lost, so that we can again reclaim that for ourselves.
Do you think, I know we're almost over, but you say it's been lost. Do you think there was a time where humanity was completely connected to this?
There was.
In our ancient past? Because I believe in ancient civilizations.
Mhm.
See, there's no
Yeah.
reason to get you back on. We could talk about that.
Yeah, because he touches on it. You'll learn more about the motherland in Remember Who You Are. So yeah.
Because I feel like and besides the ancient alien theory, I do believe like humans lived in different periods of times way longer than human history says we did.
We have.
And we talk about Lemuria or Atlantis or these places these ideal places that humans once lived, like a utopia. I don't know if we'll ever reach that kind of thing. Somehow it ended for Atlantis or Lemuria or all these places. I don't know if it ended by our hands or whatever. But as a society, I hope we can reach those achievements. I hope we can come together and have like a golden age. It's not very promising looking. Don't go doom scrolling now.
No.
That won't help you. But I see it, like I said, I'm a father. I see it in kids. I see it in children. That's my piece. That's, it's a reminder to me from God that everybody's built inside of everybody, I believe, is a moral compass.
Mm-hmm.
We're born with it. Now, it seems there's kids that are born, you'll see it, but like that kid has no moral compass. Like, even if the parents are good.
Yeah.
I think it's all about our connection to God. Some people are born less connected than others. And the more connected you get, the more you're going to develop that moral compass because it's innate in our being. I believe we know what is good. We all do. Even the most disconnected people somewhere down in their DNA comes from that. We know what is right and wrong.
We do. And the only thing that's in the way is the density and the social mind. And that's what Daniel came to teach about. So
and I think history tells us that. It's repeated in stories over and over again that, that this world and that can turn the most people that be kind-hearted and good into evil monsters at times. Because they forget that. They lose connection to that source. It tells you what's right and wrong. Usually because of fear, usually because of anger, and usually because of all the worst feelings. Again, I'm a big Star Wars fan. I believe it's like the Force. That's my feel. Don't give in to anger. Don't give in to hate. These are the ways of the dark side.
Yeah.
Like love and compassion, forgiveness. I think that's what Jesus was trying to teach us.
So
love what Karen did with this book. Thank you, Andy, so much for being on the show tonight. Keep in touch. Let me know about your, I know you said you're going to be doing future books, right?
Yeah, I've taken transcriptions of Daniel's teachings and compiled them into books. So there is a follow-up book to Remember Who You Are called An Ancient Whisper. But then the rest of the books we're publishing are all direct transcripts of Daniel. So I can't wait. Yeah.
Yeah, just keep in touch. Let me know. She doesn't. Does she channel still, Daniel?
Nope, not at this time. So I have so much content. I don't know what I would do if I had more information.
So this is like a period of time that she channeled him, and you just wrote all this stuff down. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Andy.
Thank you
for being on the show. Keep in touch. Let me know about your future projects. Next week, guys, not going to do a show. I don't think. I might get on if I have time that night, depending on what my kids want to do, because it's Father's Day. Get on and just do live, and maybe we'll fix this phone call thing if I can. We'll see. No promises. I know the phone system's janky. We'll see if we can fix it if I do get on, but it all depends on my kids. All right, if I don't see you, everybody who are fathers out there, have a good Father's Day. Thank you all for joining us. Thank you to our YouTube channel members. Thank you to our Patreons. Thank you to everybody who shares out the show. And keep telling people, Paranormal Soup, where the weird happens live every Sunday night, 10 p.m. Central, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific time. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. All right, guys. Love you. See you either next week or in a couple weeks. Thank you, Andy. Have a great night, guys.
Bye.